What's up and welcome back to KindaFunny's Scream in Review. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes and I'm joined by the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hello, Timney.
Oh, it feels so good to be back. Of course, we also have It's Christmas in March, Joey Noel.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here to be talking about this. The fact that we got another one, the fact that we predicted the name correctly.
ScreaIVI, baby. ScreaIVI. Yeah, if you guys don't know what we're talking about a year ago after Scream 5, this group of people got together to make a KFAF short about what we thought Scream 6 might be named. One of the popular ideas was ScreaIVI, and that's what they went with, and I'm very thrilled about that. How do you feel about that, James Willems?
Oh, I love that they stole one of several great ideas that we've put together in this amazing in review. So I can't wait to talk about it more.
And rounding out the group today, we have Elise Willems. Elise Willems been working on some really cool stuff. Like what, Elise?
Timney, well, coming through, we got All Good No Worries, new channel from Rooster Teeth featuring all the ladies. We're going to get Joey over there at some point. Subscribe,
let's go.
youtube.com/@allgoodnoworries. 30 Morbid Minutes, the podcast I make. We got a new season just wrapped up. Go listen to that.
Some cool else,
James?
merch?
Funhouse, always thriving. We got the
Ghostbusters. If you like Ghostbusters, we wrote a Ghostbusters game last year, so we got all kinds of stuff.
But may I just point out that in this scenario of in review Scream, the producer/seducer in Nick slash
It's a slasher.
Let's put it this way,
Slasher.
guys. I would be the obvious choice as the red herring for the killer. Just like Kittredge was in this one. Did we all think it was going to be Kittredge?
Real talk though, shout out to All Good No Worries. This is a new YouTube channel, podcast, all that stuff over on Rooster Teeth. It is all female led. Elise, Barbara, Kai, everybody over there doing great stuff. You should definitely go check them out. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen to all the podcasts. Always Opens back.
Yes.
Is there anything else exciting,
True.
Elise?
Oh
there?
yeah, the makeup show Let's Blend premiered this week. We've got
So
a game
good.
show coming about radical kindness. We've got a how-to show led by Lindsay Washburn, a gaming show with Kai and BK, and then more to come. But Always Open, Troy Baker from The Last of Us was just on.
Troy Baker, big KindaFunny fan, I've heard.
I've heard tales.
There we go.
Yeah,
I had dinner with him
and
one
we are
time.
going to steal Joey at some point to come and do a bunch of stuff with All Good No Worries.
I'm
too.
so excited.
Okay, you got to give her
All
back,
good.
though. Okay, because every time she goes to visit you guys, she's like, I'm not coming back. I have to
Every
bribe her back.
time I stay in LA a little bit longer than the
I
last
know.
time.
I know.
I
These
know.
days I'm just not going to come back.
Yeah, I'll be there, Joe. Get a 2-bedroom. Let's go.
So go check those things out. But you're here right now. Of course, this is KindaFunny's in review, where each and every week we rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. Whether they're good or bad, chances are we have reviewed, ranked, and recapped every single movie you've ever heard of. And you can check all of that out on youtube.com/KindaFunny or roosterteeth.com. You could also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for KindaFunny in review, and we'll be right there for you. But if you wanted to get the show ad-free and want to watch live as we record it, you got to go to patreon.com/KindaFunny, just like our Patreon producers, Nathan Lamoth, Tripod Plus Plus, Trent Barry, James Hastings, and Casey Andrew have done. Today, we're brought to you by Honey, but I'll tell you all about that later. I got to be real with y'all. Working from home feels really weird. I'm out of my element right now. I'm so used to the studio. Things are just weird. Like things are in different places than I'm used to. So if I'm a little behind today, I blame that. Okay. Today we're talking about ScreaIVI, aka
ScreaIVI.
Scream 6, with a runtime of 2 hours and 3 minutes. It makes it the longest Scream, but just by less than 10 minutes. Not that much, but still the longest one. Released on March 10th, 2023, directed once again by Matt Bertolini, Open, and Tyler Gillett. They also did VHS and Ready or Not with Samara Weaving, who is featured in this movie. Then the music was done by Brian Taylor, not Marco Beltrami, who did the original movies. So we have the team from 5 working on this one. This had a budget of $35 million, which was more than the $24 million of last year's Scream 5, and Scream 3 was $40 million. So Scream 4, the highest of the movies so far, same as 3, and then or around 3. 3 was like a little below that, and then 1 and 2 combined equaled the budget of that. So we're in the range of the higher budget of these movies so far. Box office, we don't have yet because we are recording this the day after the Thursday night previews.
The previews were huge.
Huge. So this comes from Eric Davis once again, the
Kirby
dude that
effect.
works over. It is the Kirby effect, of course. It posted 5.7 million in previews, which is higher than last year's Scream and last week's Creed 3. And Creed 3, we know, breaking records left and right. So for this to be doing even better than that, a very good sign. It's looking at a 35 to 40 million open, which would be a record for the horror franchise. So with all of that out of the way, remember everybody, we're going spoiler total, not spoiler free. We're going spoilers from here on out. So if you have not seen this movie and do not want to be spoiled, turn away. Do not watch this review. It is not for you. We're going fully in depth on this. I want to start with the one and only Joey Noelle.
Ooh, I never get to go first. Let's see. Where do I want to start? I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I liked Scream 5. I think the gelling of the cast happened better. I don't know if it's like the pared down core 4 that I just like vibed with more than everything else, or what it is. I really liked that. I liked the side characters better in this too, shockingly, like the girl roommate and the boy roommate I didn't really care about. I thought Dermot Mulroney, I'm also like incredibly endeared to for all of his work over the years. My best friend's wedding, The Family Stone,
Joey.
Wedding Date. This is a Joey ass movie. Really liked that. I really liked the movie. I like how they made it modern. I like the kind of like fake out with the intro that we thought, like we're normally used to getting those like stab like intros. I like that they kind of set it up like that, but then they tie it into the movie. I think that's fun. It's still missing a little bit of the camp that I really love of like 2 and 3. But I like the moves that they made in this more than I like 5. And I think I'm going to stop there.
Elise, let's go to you next.
Joey nailed a lot of what I think as well. Liked it so much more than Scream 5. Felt like this was the cast actually having some chemistry on screen. Like they had gotten to know each other in the interim between 2 movies. I felt like the writing was kind of just better. A lot of the lines, the dialogue felt more natural, less cheesy. Agree with Joey. Could have used camp. They wanted it to feel hardcore. They wanted it to feel gory. Sometimes you lose a little bit of the corniness that way. But they still had those moments of corny and humor. The core 4 was really fun. Joey, I know you're going to be with me on this. Josh Segura, anytime he shows up in anything,
yes.
the other 2, he is always delightful. And when I saw that he was her love interest, I was like, yes.
Yes.
He just appears on screen and he is like, has this warmth and like, I don't know. He just seems like a really nice guy. He does nice guy really well. And humor.
And cute guy.
Yeah. The relationship with the sisters felt real and genuine in this one.
Yeah.
Dermot Mulroney, he can Dermot my Mulroney, as Joey said. I mean, he's getting older, but come on.
Yeah.
Samara
Like a fine
Weaving,
wine.
love Samara Weaving doing her own natural goofy accent. Recently learned she is Hugo Weaving's niece.
Whoa.
I'm surprised you didn't know that because Hugo Weaving,
No.
of course, incredibly
Lord of the
popular
Rings.
from that franchise that you like. What's it
Yeah.
called?
Transformers.
The
Yeah,
Matrix.
exactly.
Yeah.
Matrix.
I did not. Pardon me. Not. I loved the opening for this one. Thought it was fantastic, especially after 5, which I felt was a little bit lackluster. I think full spoilers here. Not as many genre subversions as I would have liked, but I think it subverted itself as they kept pushing. No main character is off limits. Anyone can die, and then they didn't kill any of the main characters. So they
A little
kind
weird. A little
of, they
weird.
kind of in a not, maybe not as fun way subverted their own expectations. In that sense, I loved the self-referential of all the ghost faces from past Screams.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Super
get
cool.
enough of that. Loved seeing Kirby.
The
Have many more
curve.
thoughts, which I'm sure will come out throughout this in review. But for now, I had a great time.
Nicholas.
I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I think they went in touting this going as a franchise, and I think they have adopted all the good and the bad that franchises can bring us, namely the Fast and the Furious. Scream is now becoming the Fast and the Furious franchise, and I have to be honest with you, I'm all for it. They know what they're making here. This movie was super fun. I agree that I think it was much more fun and had a lot more energy to it and creativity than the last one that came before it. I think the cast is gelling. I do agree that I wish, it seemed like by the end when people just kept getting stabbed a lot and then coming back and not even being like, a scratch on them, like specifically Mindy. I was like, all right, we're losing a little bit of the tension here because now it's starting to get absurd. Especially Kirby, we're like, how many times did she get shot? I don't know. But I'll tell you what,
Well,
guys.
Chad too, yeah.
Chad gets stabbed a lot, and he's like, I'm okay, core 4. And I'm like, I guess you just say core 4 and we're good. And then Joey, I said, what did they say, Joey? And Joey goes, he whispered core 4. I was like, I'm back in. I was never out, but I'm just in the boat. So just so Tim knows. Really what it boils down to for me is like, can this movie keep me entertained for the 2-hour runtime? And am I enjoying the scares? Am I enjoying the sort of the creativity of all this? And the answer is 100%. They had me, when Kirby showed up as an FBI agent, I was like, these guys know what they're doing. They listened to the fans, namely us on this podcast. They gave us something ridiculous and they followed through with it. And it was just a fun time. We popped a bunch of times. And again, Dermot Mulroney, great. Did you guys know he plays the cello?
I did not know that.
A fun piece of trivia for you. I learned this a long time ago. He actually plays the cello very, very well. And so well, apparently, that he does it on movie scores. Like he is like a gig cellist in LA. They'll hire him to like play scores and shit.
That makes me enjoy this movie even more.
Yeah. Anyway, really enjoyed it. Looking forward to see where they go with it. And the fact that it's a franchise now, and the fact that they can like, maybe not have to do the core 4. Maybe they could do a Hobbs and Shaw, or it's just Mindy and Chad on an adventure alone. Who knows? Sky is the limit. I will say this again. My one criticism with it, it's not that the wig was bad that Hayden Panettiere was wearing. It's not that it was bad. Okay.
It wasn't.
It's an affront to everything that Hayden P stands for. I don't know why they made her wear that. It was distracted. This is how good this movie was that I was like, that's so distracting. And by midway through, I was like, I don't care anymore.
What I don't understand is she posted on social media and was like, got the Kirby haircut back. Joey knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we were so excited.
We were so excited. And
because that was before they had confirmed her as like joining the cast, I think.
And we James and I were like, did they ask her to come back? And she didn't even consult anyone. And she went, gotta get the haircut.
Gotta get it. Gotta do it.
And they were like, oh, well, no, we don't need you to have that haircut. It's
Must have
10
been
years later.
Because it was distracting. It looked like somebody, like we were, like Greg Miller was joking around and just threw on a wig he found in our closet.
It's modern method acting. Just get back into the character, feel where you're at, and put a wig on.
How dare you, dude? Hayden P does not need any sort of help from any sort of acting coaches. She right for us. A wig.
And on the subject of Hayden P, I read that the creators said that they would have brought her back sooner, but they couldn't get in touch with her. They couldn't find her.
She was camping.
3 years.
Interesting.
I love it. James, what did you think of Scream 6?
I just want to say that this movie, I hated it.
Oh.
Wow.
I hated this movie. And I didn't hate it as much as Scream 5. I love all of you, and I love doing in review, but I hope they never make another one because I hate it so much.
Is 4? Did you like 4?
I love 4.
I can't remember. Okay, just making sure.
I love 4.
Trying to figure out where
we were
they
looking
lost
at we were looking at the rankings beforehand. Elise and I watched 4 the night before, and I was like, wow, I really do like this movie a whole lot.
It's so good.
4, for sure.
It should have been number 1 on our list so far.
Here, listen, we went with the group, and we came out of the group, and I was the only one who was like, who was pissed off. The group took a photo. I refused to take a photo with the standee afterwards. But here's the thing. I love the opening, which we'll get into. I loved it for several reasons, not just because I thought of it, which Elise will tell you later. I thought it was a great twist. The things that I value about Scream are how they take something that's played out and then subvert it while also showing you everything. It's like when Neo sees the Matrix, he sees the numbers or whatever, right? And then but it still like makes it entertaining. And I felt like Scream 5 had like none of that. Like it seemed like it wasn't aware of it at all. This movie has glimmers of it, so it's definitely, for me, better than Scream 5. But I think it doesn't know what franchises are, or Scream has become the thing that Scream was made to replace. And we can get into it. And again, the thing is, it's fun. There's no debating that it's fun. And like the kills, everything's better than 5. But I still think, for me, who loves how meta Scream is while also still being like one of the best slashers ever made, this is now feels like we're at the point where we are just making the movies that Scream had to replace in the zeitgeist, right? And that's what happens when you have 6 of them. Like that's what's gonna happen.
He said this all last night within earshot of the actress who plays Quinn.
We did see the movie with Quinn in the theater. I did not say this around her. I did not boo.
She was taking photos with people.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she got big when she came on screen. Big pops in the theater.
Love
But that's the thing. We'll talk through it, and there's so many elements, like the cast, that I think are fantastic. The cat and mouse chase sequences I think are fantastic. I just think, for me, it added up into a movie that could have been called almost anything else.
Well, not with the whole history of Ghostface being.
That's what I'm saying. Like it could have. The elements of those things could be in any other movie.
So you're saying this movie was closer to a stab than it was to a Scream?
Yes, yeah, and I honestly think the franchise has gotten confused on what Stab and Scream are.
I'd kill to see those stab movies.
Which
They gotta make those stab. We've got to be the ones that make these stab.
Just to make sure that I say it, I'm still confused how Red Right Hand is a song that plays diegetically in the film that is made, but it's too. Listen, I felt the same way about Avatar 2: Way of the Water. I was like, he's made a sequel while he was jerking off to his first movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's
he loves
indisputable.
Avatar so much.
Indisputable.
Anyway.
Do you think the use of Red Right Hand is disrespectful, considering Dewey's not in the movie?
But they did play Dewey's
No,
theme
they
in
played
this
Dewey's
movie.
theme.
They did play the Broken Arrow theme in this movie.
Which I
but
love, and I think it James.
Or sorry,
every time.
that's what I meant. But did you not feel like, because I popped for it and then I was like thinking to myself, why am I popping for this? Like Dewey's not even in it.
It's
So it's like a little bit of a bait.
him.
But it seems like a bait.
It encompasses how the movie tried to pull me in directions, and I just wasn't gonna go.
Yeah,
I wasn't
was a
gonna.
lot of like catering. This movie is catering to the fandom. So
they're like, we got everything. All the important items from the Scream history, like the fax machine that blows up in a Hollywood Hills house. Like, I'm like, I don't give a shit. And how did you find that?
And that is the perfect transition to me. I give a shit. I understand where James is coming from. And James, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But this movie delivered for me and the people like me so perfectly. I could not believe what I watched. We all saw the trailers, and all of us are on a group chain together. We're like, I don't know about this. This is maybe
with a shotgun.
yeah. There are a lot of questionable things. I don't think I've ever seen a trailer that made a movie this good, in my opinion. This is my number 1. I am obsessed with this. Number 4 has always been my number 1. This is better than 4. This took everything I loved about 4 to the next level, including Kirby, giving her all the reverence that she deserves. She's an FBI agent, y'all. She's a fucking FBI agent. Like, and then they tried to subvert that in this movie, but is it not? I don't fucking know. I love it, man. This is it's dumb fun in the best way. Why I watch these movies. Like, sure, you're right, James. Again, I can't disagree with any single thing that you said. Being somebody on the opposite end of me on this, you're right. But what I look for these type of movies, when we're looking at a Scream 6, if the franchise is going to go this long, I want it to go this direction. If you're going to end it at 3, end it at 3. But if you're going to keep going, you better be having fun with it. And I can't imagine having more fun than they did with this movie.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with it. Fast and Furious, y'all know how much I love that shit.
I was just about to. I was like, has this reached Fast and Furious points for Tim?
With this movie, I think it has. Like, this movie reminds me of Fast 5 through 7 of just, hey, we're just delivering. The other ones set the stage. They brought you where you need to get. Scream 5, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but it was what it was. This somehow made me love those characters. The idea of introducing Core 4 is like, oh shit, there's the original trio, the Core 4. This movie is somehow ahead of its time in terms of franchises. Like we've dealt with, I mean, on this show in review, we've reviewed what, 50 franchises at this point. And because of that, we know how these things work. And they rarely work this well, where they can look in on themselves. And sure, is this the same magic that Scream had before? No, but I don't think it ever could be. I think the magic it has right now is setting new ground going forward. We've never had a franchise that is so cutting edge that it has to make up tropes that haven't even happened yet. And that is what Scream 7 is going to have to deal with. Scream 6, I think, is a perfect execution of looking at what's going on in our modern times of movies and dealing with it. They straight up say it's a franchise. One of the Core 4 members, what is it, niece of Randy?
Yeah.
Which I forget about constantly. That they're
it's
related
all
to
I
Randy.
think about Joey.
I mean, that's the thing.
Uncle
man.
Randy died just like this in a van, just like this in broad
Yes, like
Yeah.
it's
Fuck yeah, I
those
forgot about that.
lines that I love so much. And in Fast Five, or sorry, in Scream 5, I honestly couldn't give a shit about these characters. Like, cool, they're new characters, they're great, whatever. I now love them and don't want any of them to die ever. And when
Yes.
they do, it's going to mean so much to me. They did that in this fucking movie,
Yes,
and
it
they
felt
did
like-
it. Go for it, Elise.
Oh, sorry, because it didn't feel like the last one kind of like spit on the franchise we loved, but then this one said, let's embrace everything you love about this franchise.
And that to me is Fast and Furious in a nutshell, right? We get to Tokyo Drift and it's like, we don't need Vin Diesel. We don't need Paul
No,
Walker.
whoa,
And then at the end, they're like,
whoa.
but we do, but we actually do.
Whoa.
And then it took Fast 4 to reset the franchise,
Still
to
doesn't.
set off to new heights
stand
in
by
Fast 5. And that is what Scream 5 was. Scream 5 is the Fast 4. Just let's reset a
This-
little bit to move forward. Where we
This
need
is
to go.
the thing that's so perfect about in review and talking about movies and stuff with like your friends, because I couldn't finish the Fast and Furious franchise. Elise and I tried like a year
I
ago
couldn't finish it.
and tried like a year ago, and at a certain point I was like, I can't. I'm
His
done. I
negativity brings
can't.
me down. You
I
don't
didn't say
see it.
shit. I didn't
Wait,
say I didn't.
how
wasn't
far did
negative.
you get?
didn't
What was
see
the one
shit.
before Hobbs and Shaw?
The last
Oh,
Fast and Furious,
7.
I think, right? Yeah.
7, right? And then it's
or
Fate of
8,
the Furious.
I think it was 8.
8 was.
We got to the whatever was the one before Hobbs and Shaw, and then
I mean,
at
you're
a certain
pretty
point
much caught up.
We stopped, and I was like, I can't. I don't want any more of this.
Did you
And
get
like
to the
again, like
one where
I've
Charlize Theron
tapped
had
out
red
of Star Wars. Like I've tapped out of these things because I'm like, I don't care about Luke Skywalker. I do not care. Like, so it's the same fatigue is happening in Scream now for me. But
I
I
get
get
it. I mean,
that you're
I
like
get it.
you're fiending for it, and I get it. Yeah.
I'm a franchise boy, and I love when franchises respect the Reddit. And I am the Reddit, and I apologize to everybody that I'm saying that right now because I hate the Reddit. I want everyone to know I hate that, but I am it. I'm the lurker. I don't post. I don't ever comment ever. But I lurk on all of the Reddits. I see all of this stuff and I see the ideas. And this movie is all of that. It's all the best that I've ever seen. Whenever I read a thread, I'm like, oh, that'd be a dope ass movie. That's what this movie is.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or bad thing for you? Hey, I'm not judging you. All I'm saying is I fucking love this movie. And James hated it. And I think, or not hate it, but both are very valid viewpoints on this. But this is my number one. They did it, baby. I saw Snakes on a Plane at midnight when it came out.
Yeah, you did.
And this is so much better than that.
It's still great.
Did you like Snakes on a Plane?
I liked it. I
Oh,
enjoyed
okay,
it for
okay.
what it
I
was.
was like, because I see lots of movies at midnight. I didn't know it's not necessarily.
Man, I'll tell you
what
what.
I'm saying is I was in a midnight alone.
Gotcha,
It was
gotcha,
me
yeah,
and like 3 other
Oh.
people because like that was the internet movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an internet movie done right.
Yeah.
Nick,
I'll
you're
tell you
gonna
what.
say something.
I tell you what, I look down for a second, I come back up, I'm like, how did we get the snakes on a plane? What
We
we
are
talking
all
about?
on that journey with you.
I
think.
love it. I mean, I totally agree with Tim. Like, I think that, I mean, it's going where I like it to go, which is that now anything's possible, which was always to say that the Scream franchise, anything can be possible anyway. People get stabbed constantly and survive while other people die. It's complete chaos out there. I'm just excited to see where they take it from here, because now I'm like, are they gonna be like Scooby-Doo now? Are they gonna roam around the country solving murders, the Ghostface killers all over the planet? Who knows? Anything can happen. But I will agree with James in that it is harder and harder for them to make a meta commentary on what they're doing and have that play into the plot. And this one had very little of that, with the exception of what I would say a tongue-in-cheek sequence where she says this is a franchise, which it's always been a franchise. It's weird to not, and they didn't really define that too much. The other kind of disappointing thing for me of it was that the kill, it just wasn't scary, which I know sounds silly.
What are you talking about?
I didn't think it was scary either.
This is the scariest Scream movie there's ever been.
Really?
What was the
Scariest,
what was the scariest
goriest,
moment of the night
easy.
for you? Please.
Oh, the scariest moment of the night for me
wig.
was when me and a bunch of our friends went to the elevator. James had already stormed off ahead of us because he was so mad. But we went around to the elevator, and James had gone down and come up the elevator to scare us. So when the elevator doors opened, he popped out and went, ah!
It's pretty good scare.
That was the scariest.
That was
Pretty good.
Awesome.
Thing. But yeah, I didn't think it was scary either, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, there are
Did you
moments
think
of
the other
tension.
ones were?
I think Scream 1 was
don't
legit
know.
scary when I
Don't fight
watched
I
it.
don't believe you.
I think the other ones are better at building tension than this one is, and I don't necessarily think that gorier equals scarier.
The subway.
I
There's so much
think
tension.
I think that
The latter.
well, so I feel like I don't think I ever thought Scream was scary. I always appreciated the chase. It feels like Scream pretty much shows its hand pretty quickly. In the good Screams, it shows its hand quickly, and then there's the cat and mouse game.
Right.
You know, we've always talked about that on this podcast. One of our favorite parts is that like they like kick over Ghostface.
Yeah.
Or like Ghostface trips
They
on a
beat
coffee
his
table.
ass,
Like
yeah.
like it's like that's like some reason so satisfying. I felt like this movie had that a lot. I mean, I think it depends on how you feel about fear, because I was sitting next to someone, a friend of ours, who was jumping out of his seat, but also like when I popped out of an elevator, almost pissed his pants. So
Fair.
like I think a lot of it was like the movie goes into these lulls and then it goes boom, and then like it's someone jumping out and going boo, which I think a not scary movie does, but then it follows it up with like a sequence, you know, something
That's
that
fair.
someone
That's
thought
fair.
of, right?
Ryan had also dealt with the Hacks Cross Creeper.
Well, that's a whole nother story.
That's a horror story. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. That's true. I mean, and Tim, to your point, yeah, I mean, I guess when you're looking back through the entire franchise, you don't necessarily think of it as like terrifying. It's not like Conjuring or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, that's one of the reasons why I like this movie, was that I think, in spite of the fact that I didn't feel there was a ton of tension, I enjoyed the creativity of all of the stuff. I enjoyed the red herring of the beginning with Flash Thompson and all that stuff. I enjoyed that they're sort of like enjoying a victory lap around some of these things, literally taking you through the eras of Scream and having that be sort of the meta-ness of it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it was fun.
Yeah, real quick, I want to say something that impressed the shit out of me was we saw this at a theater that we go to often, but it's not our like most often
It's a
theater.
Pepsi theater.
Yeah, it's really sad. Regal,
get
get
root
your shit
beer.
together. Come on. But I was so surprised by how vocal the audience was at the opening showing of Scream. Because like we watch movies every week for whatever new franchise is coming out. And whether it's a screener we're seeing or like opening night, whatever, it's rare that the audience gets into it. And every once in a while they do. They were into everything for this. And it surprised me because I was like, damn, Scream has a loyal fan base, a cult following, and also these new up-and-comers that just love Jenny Ortega. And I think that that's really fucking cool that like Scream is now a modern thing that means as much to a new generation as it does to the James and Elisa's of the world that have been there since day one watching these things. Like I was very surprised by how interactive an experience it was last night.
Yeah, like Kirby got like an audible pop in our thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I think I don't even know if it's
Because
so
they were
much
like,
of the
she's
new
an
kids.
FBI agent. I was like, no fucking way. No way they're making Kirby an FBI agent. And sure as shit. Bedazzled leather jacket and big ass gun on her waist.
So we were eating beforehand, and then I was like, all right, let's pick the killer. Let's look at the poster. I'm gonna pick the killer, and so I went around to the poster and I was like, no, and then spoiler alert. Well, I was like, my number one, it was like, there's no way Samara Weaving signed on to be part of this team. I was like, so I'm gonna say she's the killer because she's only doing one. I was like, her career's on an upswing. She's doing one movie. So I was like, on the poster, I was like, so I'm gonna call her as a killer. And then killer number 2 was, and then I picked Zero from Grand Budapest, right? I was like, I don't know anything about him. Killer number 2 right there. And then walked away. So it was funny how it played out when we get into the plot, how it played out in the actual sequence of things.
Am I the only one that thought that Samara Weaving was going to kill him at the beginning?
Yes.
I thought she was going to be like, that was the red herring where he was like, I don't know what's going on. Then she like stabbed his ass and was.
But what I was going to say is, as we were scrolling through, I was like, hey, did you notice that Kirby has a holstered gun? And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, she does." I was like, "That's an interesting situation there." I was like, "They'll probably explore that." So when it happened, they're like FBI agent. It wasn't like, for me, it wasn't like, "Oh my gosh," because I was like, "Oh, I guess she was involved in, like, she felt like she was, armed, officially armed anyway." But yeah.
I love it. I love her, and I just want to also, we haven't talked about it, but I'm just gonna say shout out to Courtney Cox.
Oh, we'll talk about all of this in just a second. Before we get to the plot, I want to let you know a word from our sponsors. Shout out to Honey for sponsoring this episode. Honey is the easy way to save when shopping on your iPhone or computer. And thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. And we all know there's nothing better than the feeling of saving money. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. When you check out, the Honey button appears and all you have to do is click apply coupons. You'll wait a few seconds. You see the fun little dancing guy. Honey searches for coupons and it finds you the best ones. And then you just watch the prices drop. We here at Kinda Funny have been using Honey for years, and it's helped us save thousands on tech, costumes, food, you name it. Honestly, I just love how easy it is to just set and forget and save. That's the best part. Honey doesn't just work on desktops, it works on your phone too. You just activate it on Safari on your phone, you save on the go. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. You can get PayPal Honey for free at joinhoney.com/kindafunny. That's joinhoney.com/kindafunny. All right, Nick.
Also, I have one more thing. Did we not realize, or I didn't realize until right now, that the Chad's roommate, that killer guy, is Spider from Avatar too?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I did not know.
He probably filmed it when he was like 4 or whatever.
Wow, the things he's seen James Cameron do while watching Avatar 1.
Which also, I'm sorry, but I was watching that whole movie going, why'd they cast another guy that looks exactly like Jack Quaid?
Genius.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
I'm such an idiot. I was just going like, why? Why would they get another why does he look exactly like
dorky, generic white guy? Yeah, absolutely.
But they nailed it.
Yes, it's fucking genius. Ladies and gentlemen, hello, Timney. Welcome to ScreaIVI, as we all called it. And I want to start this plot synopsis a little differently than before. As you guys know, we have one employee working for us named Roger McCorney. And Roger doubts me all the time. And I don't know when he's going to learn to stop doubting me. Because he said today, we were streaming, and he said, and I quote, Nick, you made me watch you guys do this meeting that you guys had where you tried to pick the name for the next Scream. And he goes, and I thought it was just a complete and total waste of time. Which to me is, I'm used to hearing this, right? I'm used to people doubting me at this company because they like to challenge me. It's like when you pay someone to jump out of a closet and try to beat you, James, it makes you better. That's what we have with Roger.
Yep.
And he said, but I want to apologize because that ended up being one of the best videos that we've ever made, maybe that anyone's ever made, period. And so, Roger, I forgive you. Here is the plot for Scream.
Sorry,
6.
but Nick, I need to stop you before you get to the plot. Before the show, I was questioning James's outfit, and now I need some answers because, like, first off, I love the shirt. Second off, the chest. Like, I need what's going on.
So the reason I'm wearing the shirt, I mean, I love this shirt. This is a great shirt.
It's a great
I
shirt.
believe you got me
Looks
this
sexy.
shirt. I think Elise got me this shirt. But sometimes she'll get me things she doesn't understand that I'm going to wear them, but without the intended number of buttons.
Yeah.
So Elise got me this shirt. I got up today thinking that I would be going to the DMV to get a new driver's license photo taken.
Yeah.
So I put this shirt on with the intention of having a driver's license photo wearing this shirt, looking awesome. Got to the DMV to find out that there was absolutely no way they were going to accommodate me because there was a form, there's all kinds of bureaucratic whatever. And so now I just spend the rest of the day in this shirt. And then of course the reason I can't button it all the way up is because just I'm limited. I'm limited by my pectoral
I get it.
size. You know?
Tim
But
and
I was like,
don't get
we're
it,
we're
but-
doing in review. I can't. I'm so glad this is back. So I'm gonna keep the shirt on. Hell yeah!
I love it. This is the best. That was the best story ever because I assumed it was going to be like, oh, we're doing a let's play. We're playing through Vice City. We're doing so. No. You're just living your life, and that is why I love you guys so
living.
much.
That's because
This
James
is about
gets
a
it right.
20-year-old shirt. Here. Hold it.
Hey!
We have a hole in the envelope. Audio listeners, she does in fact have a hole in the
Abercrombie.
envelope of the shirt. God bless you, James. You get your license taken into that shirt. You're gonna get pulled over, and the cop's gonna give you a ticket for looking too hot.
I was gonna say he's gonna go. I was gonna write you a ticket, and then I saw this license, so now I'm gonna give you 2.
2 tickets. Ew. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the plot for Scream 6. We start with Samara Weaving, who I was like, oh, that's awesome. I didn't know she was in this movie. You always wonder who's going to be the beginning. Of course, we had we got to do the good old fashioned Drew Barrymore. We got to slide someone in that's going to be a red herring. Of course, the homage to Psycho, yada yada yada, all that stuff. But this one's great, and she's talking in her normal accent, which is Australian, right?
Mm-hmm.
I assume?
No, I'm just a professor.
I'm a professor of film studies here, governor. And you're like,
No, Nick.
good. Good. Wait.
How is
Okay.
that
Well. Okay.
so bad.
At least give me an Australian accent.
I love her to bits, but she has a little bit of a cornier and I'm just a professor. Yeah.
That was better. That was great. Of course, she's on a blind date. She thinks that she's dating some hottie, but guess what? It's a naughty because he lures her out into the middle of the alley and he goes, "You're not very smart for a slasher professor." This is the first part, and this is, I guess, my question for James. We do get a little bit of self-awareness here. We do get a little bit of meta commentary here, where she is the professor of slashers and says the stuff that you guys have always said. We talked about on this, and we've talked about when we did Halloween as well, which is that like these slashers are always sort of mirror what's happening in society at that time. So did you find this to be interesting?
So a little backstory. When we saw Scream 5, I was pissed. I was pissed because in my opinion, Scream 5 didn't do a single thing meta at all in that whole movie. Like I feel like that's one of the
I
things
disagree.
that we in Scream 5.
Yeah,
The whole
the whole
fanboy
Reddit
thing.
But that was the
Where they
same
can
thing that
make
they
their
did in
own movie.
4. It was the
But I
same.
think-
It was
but I-
it was a
what it
rehash.
meant
of
was-
better in 5, and they had
10 years later, I think there's difference in like what that means. I think has evolved so much.
I mean, I think this will echo how this whole review is going to go,
Yeah.
where it's like, whatever. Like, it's this. We are agreeing that the same thing happened, and one of us hated it and the other loved it. But like Scream 5, I was like, why did you make this movie other than you just wanted more screams? And I was like, it was absent. And I said to Elise, because the question is, well, what would you do if you were trying to re-meta this whole thing? And I was like, they should do a Scream where it starts like any other Scream, okay, with this chase, cat and mouse chase, killer, boom, murders them, and then goes Scream logo, and then comes back from the Scream logo, and then you pick up with the killer taking their mask off, calling their partner and going, "It's done."
He said this when we saw 5.
This is like in the parking lot after we saw 5. I was like, so someone should do a movie where the killer is immediately revealed, because that's interesting.
That's cool.
And then suddenly, oh wait, no, there's more. Like there's another level here, right? And so when I was watching this, I was like, oh, they're gonna go even
They're doing
further.
it.
Well, they ended up doing it, and I was like, again, I love the beginning of this movie, but I thought they were gonna go further. I was like, if they're showing her like a spider draw in, you think he's the guy who called her, you think this whole like thing, but she's actually setting a trap
That's
for
what I
him,
thought,
and
yeah.
we've just been watching the killer work their machinations. I was like, that would be like such a flip on this whole thing. Everything that we know about Scream, this is a flip on it. That's not where they went, but even where they did go, I was like, love it. I love that we're following the killer, and then even them going like killing off the killer. I was like, oh, now we got a killer killing killers. I was like, this is exactly what this franchise needs. So I love the opening. I love the opening.
Yeah. So we follow, of course, Flash Thompson from the Spider-Man series. What's this guy's name?
Tony Ravioli.
Ravioli. Yeah, Ravioli. Kelly
Well,
Ravioli.
it's Revelori, but I always say Ravioli.
We're gonna call him Ronnie Ravioli. from now on. He's great. He's going home to his significant other / partner in crime, and he comes home and he's like, it's done. And he is finishing Richie's film from the last movie. They're fanboys of Richie. We established they are rich kids from Atlanta who are trying to finish where Richie left off. Of course, we know he's probably going to die because, of course, he gets the call. Hello, Ronnie Macaroni. It's Timney. Tim's calling.
I will also say that I love in his apartment, he has We Hate Movies and Last Podcast of the Left stuff on the walls. It's just like, oh, you guys did the homework. You know exactly what kind of person this would be.
How do we get our poster in the next one for in review? That's what we got to do.
Oh, I think we have to start with
break
making an
onto the
in review
set.
poster.
Joey, this is why we have you. You're a thinker. Of course, he gets dispatched very, very quickly, but not before finding his counterpart has gone to pieces in the refrigerator.
What a
He gets
brutal scene.
great scene together, and I'm like, now I don't know what to think. Of course,
What I love though is like this far into it, which like I think is the longest, and I could totally be wrong about this, but it felt like the longest of a Scream movie before seeing the Scream logo hit. And I was a little confused. I was like, wait, when are they going to just not do the logo? Like, is this just the movie playing out? Like, what's going on here? I knew they were going to, but like when they did, I just didn't expect it to come when it happened. And I appreciated how late into the movie it was.
Yeah, and it's also it's the longest of all the Scream movies. Total runtime.
Yeah.
love
So
it.
they had the space.
Could have been 20 more minutes. Would have loved it. Would have eaten more
Same.
Joy's popcorn. Let's see. We catch back up with the Carpenter sisters, and I think we talked about this last time, and obviously this is done on purpose. But I love their last name's Carpenter as an homage.
But before
so
that,
great.
though, like when we get the title splash, like the last line that the actual killer has, like he references movies and stuff. And like that to me is like the franchising of it. It's like we're almost beyond Scream at this point. Like it's like, and we're still in Scream very much in this movie and like how they go back through the history of it all. But like they are just, it's meta commentary on films and not even just films, TV and series and limited series and true crime and Last Podcast on the Left and all that stuff. Like I was so in for this shit.
We catch up with the Carpenter sisters. We have Sam, the oldest sister, and Tara, who Tara's like, listen, man, Sam has followed her to New York, and Sam is an overprotective older sister now because she doesn't think Tara's dealing with her trauma from the previous movie's events very well. Of course, Tara's not at all dealing with it at all. She wants to move on, and she wants to do that by getting drunk and going to frat parties and getting, going a little cut a little loose. Which Sam's not happy about. We meet her roommate, who was Quinn, who tells her, "Listen, I wasn't supposed to tell you this, but Tara went to a party, and you're not gonna like that." And she's like, "Well, she can't go to that party. She's, someone's gonna stab her in the face." So she goes there, where she finds her sister, with a creepy frat guy, and he's creepy because A, he talks creepy, and B, he's still wearing polo shirts. It's 2023. We don't ever need that look.
That's the way to go.
That's of course, Sam kind of overreacts a little bit here. She gets Chad involved. They get into fisticuffs, and then Sam tases this guy right in the newts. As they are walking home, they get into an argument where we establish that the little sister does not like the overbearing big sister, who moved to New York basically to follow her and protect her because she's not dealing with her trauma either. And then someone throws a Diet Cherry Coke on her because we now establish that instead of being the heroes of Woodsboro, there is a conspiracy theory online where they are in fact the ones that orchestrated the killing. I love this. I love that because that is just, unfortunately, sadly, the reality of what we live in. For every person that's a hero, there's someone out there that's like, fuck that, this person's horrible.
There was a point about 2/3 of the way into the movie where I was like, it would be awesome if that cherry Coke thrower was the killer.
That would have been awesome. Yeah.
Because they kind of did focus on her enough that you could be like, I remember that face.
There was a hot minute where I thought that the cherry Coke thrower and her two cronies were going to be like almost like Sarah Michelle Gellar, or not Sarah Michelle Gellar, but Rebecca Gayheart and Portia de Rossi were in the second one. I thought they were going to introduce them as these like side antagonists, like just mini antagonists in life. But
yeah, just in terms of general storytelling, I thought it was a little strange. And I mean, I'm not going to necessarily knock this against the movie, but if it was me and I wanted to show how overbearing or maybe paranoid Samantha was being, I probably wouldn't have shown her younger sister doing the stupidest thing she possibly could have done, and everyone around her agreeing that it was stupid, and then her taking it out on her sister. I thought that was a little strange.
Yeah,
That's real though, man. Do you
only
have
reason-
siblings, James?
I do have siblings, but I still think it felt reversed. I was like, okay, well, the person who's not dealing with this is her. Like, I don't know. I thought they were getting, I feel like there's some threads in this that they pulled, but they didn't explore really. And this was one of them. And then we'll get into another one later on. But like, I was like, that was weird. I mean, she was going to basically let this guy like bang her while she's drunk. Like, I don't know. Like and everyone around her was like, please don't do this.
Right.
Like,
well, I mean, and that's interesting because I think I'll disagree with you a little bit because I think they explore that a little bit because she goes, I know I was going to make a bad choice, but I wanted to, and you guys have no agency to tell me that I shouldn't be able to do that. Which Chad later says like, okay, yeah, you're right, and of course Chad coming to her rescue that she didn't ask for. I think that's a little bit more of a complex.
His name's Chad, guys.
I know,
Can we
it's
just take that in?
hilarious. I love that.
Like,
they call it out. They call it out.
it's great, man. I didn't say this earlier. This movie's so stupid. And I love when stupid movies know they're stupid and are just committing to the stupid. And James, I think you like smart movies, or at least you. I don't know that you love stupid things the way I do.
I think the difference is we'll never know. But for me, I don't know if it knew it was stupid as it was.
James,
at points.
There's a moment where there's two of the Ghostface killers simultaneously like unsheathing their weapons.
Yeah,
I think they knew how stupid they were.
But I think that's fan service. But I also think they have a character named Chad who they have to stop and have another character explain that his name is Chad and what that means. So I'm like, oh no, I got it. I got that his name is Chad. I understand that.
You just went back.
So like, do you think I'm stupid or are you stupid? Because I don't know. So,
I'll tell you this right now. I just want to echo Tim's sentiment. I also think this movie's stupid, but I have garbage takes on everything, and most of the time I love stupid shit. Everyone should go watch The Heat. Let's see. Keeping it going right along, Sam goes over to her doctor, Dr. Stone, who is Kittredge from the original Mission Impossible, and soon to reprise that role again in the new Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1. Did I get that right? That sounds about right.
He's also the dad from Ready or Not, which I was like,
he is the dad from Ready or Not.
I like when they bring him back.
Yeah.
Me too.
Love this actor. Can't wait to see him. This was the first time I was like, he's the killer. He's got to be the killer, right? He's the therapist who's mining all of her personal insights so he can use them against her. What a great setup, yada yada yada. And then of course he goes, I need you to tell me everything, really the details of it, for me to really help you. And then she tells him the details, and he's so shocked he fires her as a client. And I was like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this isn't the guy. I'll tell you this. This is one angle that I'm like, we got to tread lightly here because this could ruin this entire franchise. But I love the fact that she still sees Ghost Dad fucking directing her toward being a killer. I think it's James is shaking his head. I know, James. I know it's absurd. I just love it.
I liked it more now.
It was literally my least favorite element of Scream 5. It's like making 4 movies and then introducing magic in the 5th one.
Yeah.
And I honestly, it's my least favorite thing in Scream 5, and I was so hopeful that they would just never touch it again because they realized how much I personally hated it. And then they doubled down on it in this movie, and I could not stand it.
Anytime he came up, got a big cheer in the theater.
So James, we can meet on the middle ground for part of that statement because I'm with you. In 5, there are moments of it where I was like, I get why they're doing this, and this is so stupid that I enjoy it because I'm a bad person. But I understand that this is actually bad. Like I know this is not good. But where they took it in this one, I was like, now you're committing. Now I'm fucking in. It's like Fast 4. They drive through the invisible mountain door thing to get into the caves. And I'm like, this is fucking stupid. And then in Fast 6, they're on the longest runway of all time and like jumping across fucking freeways. And I'm like, give me more. Yeah. Like that's where this is now. It's like, cool, you've committed so hard that of course I want Force Ghost fucking Force original Ghost guy. Dad. Come Force on, Ghost, man.
Force Ghost Skeet. You gotta have it. And I love that they put that guy who's got to be at least my age, if not older, in that teenage boy white t-shirt again.
The hair
with the hair, the bad wig, he sticks out and he's like, hey Sid, You know he does that thing.
Nick, I don't know that it was a wig. I think it was just CG, and that makes it even better.
Oh fuck!
Like,
are we
it
are we
was
into
magic.
the era of CG wigs? Do I have to
Yeah,
deal with
dude.
that now?
It's just
Yeah.
it's so
Deep
strange
with
to me because like Billy's a bad guy.
Mhm.
Like he wasn't doing things out of a twisted sense of justice. Like he was getting
James-
sadistic revenge.
Maybe Sam's bad too. She's
But
dealing with it, man.
Just figuring out, James.
I don't think that's how bad works though. Is that
No.
a father that didn't raise you, that just has some of his genetic material in you, causes you to be a serial
But
killer?
she has to deal with all of what he did. I love that. Like, we always joke about the how small is their world. Cool. We're looking at that from a movie perspective. Think about it from a reality perspective. If your world was so many people you knew were either involved with the movie or the sequel or the sequel or the requel or the this or the that,
Franchise.
yeah, it's a franchise, baby. They're in this shit.
The franchise, baby. James, you're 100% right, but me and Tim are dumb. You know what's funny?
Again, I want to be clear. Like, I'm not criticizing you guys for liking this at all.
Oh,
I
we know.
love that you loved it. I love that you loved it. So I don't want you to what you did there, Nick. I don't want you to have to clarify anything with an asterisk
It's all
about
love,
any of
man.
that. It's the same thing. It's just how it reflected on us.
Totally
you know.
understand. What I'll say is I think that they obviously this element is kind of double mumbo jumbo, right? That what you're describing is 100% spot on. In that, taken in a more serious movie, this would have been the entire plot of the movie. Her losing touch with reality and seeing her father is something that, it feels almost like you're introducing a supernatural element into a movie that's largely grounded, right? To a degree, I guess. What I'll say is, I think it worked better in a movie where that was the style, more like Halloween Ends. I remember we had that kind of we had a much more positive reaction with how they dealt with those sort of elements in Halloween Ends, because that was the whole point of the movie. So it does kind of stick out like a sore thumb in this. But her literally seeing herself in her reflection and then Skeet Ulrich's CG body popping up, it's just so over the top that I have to pop for it.
Have we ever talked about the fact that it's the way that it's just weird that he's her dad? Like, in terms of the framing of Scream 1, did we talk about that?
Joey,
last time? I can't
listen,
remember.
it's possible that Jason Momoa might be related to Vin Diesel in the new Fast and Furious movie. Everyone's related to everyone in a franchise. That's how it has to go. John Cena, maybe he's his brother, maybe he's his half brother. I don't know. Maybe Hobbs is Vin Diesel. We've never seen him in the same room together. We don't know.
We don't know who Brie Larson is related to.
We don't.
Crazy.
She's probably related to Helen Mirren, probably.
Who knows? I just think I don't know. There's something about that in this movie that made me start thinking more than the last movie, where I was just like, that's weird.
It was a little bit weird. The one that got me was Randy, but whatever.
Also, on that subject, the killers in this movie follow the template of Scream 2, right?
Yes.
So
correct.
Theoretically, then in the following Scream, we're gonna reveal that there was another, maybe we can talk about this at the end. Let's talk about this at the end, because I have thoughts on this.
Yeah,
too.
we should do that. Don't forget. I want theories for Screen 7 at the end of this. So let's make sure Tim knows. But I want us to call it right now, because they probably have, I'm assuming they know this movie's going to do well. They probably have an outline for whatever they're going to do for Screen 7. I want us to guess first so that we have grounds for a lawsuit. We're not quite there yet. Of course, Detective Wayne Bailey gives Sam a call. And man, I did not know Dermot Mulroney was in this movie. And he is always just a pleasant surprise whenever he pops up into anything. Love this guy. I'm probably going to watch The Wedding Date this weekend. And I'm probably going to bring that out to my wife. And she's going to say the same thing she always says when she doesn't want to watch a movie. We just watched that. James, we watched it 4 years ago, but it doesn't matter because it's fresh in her mind. That's how it always goes. He was like, listen, you guys are in danger, but you're also suspects. You can't be leaving the city. They're like, really? Because Sam's like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And of course, Jenny Ortega's like, I don't want your life. I want my own life. And it's just not working out. So they decide to stay because they have no choice. And I believe this is where we get introduced to FBI crack agent Kirby. Am I not wrong? Is that right? She gets the call as well. Comes in and she's like, listen, we spilled the same blood and the same mud, Detective Mulroney. I don't want to be mad at you. I want to share resources so we can solve this together. And at one point, listen, I know it's inappropriate, but in the fan fiction that I was making in my head, I was like, I want Dermot Mulroney and Kirby to end up together at the end of this. He seems like a single dad. He seems like they got the same law enforcement stuff in common. They both carry the gun on the right side. That's all I'm saying.
Isn't there like 30 years difference between them? How old is
Dermot
he?
Mulroney is timeless. Do you understand that?
Okay, all right.
The man never ages. Also, that wig made Hayden Panettiere look like she was a 74-year-old grandma.
I wanted.
She didn't have the divorcee wardrobe this time though, which is a disappointment.
I wanted first a glimmer of Courtney and Dermot ending up together.
Ooh.
And then I also wanted Hayden and Stu to be the killers. I wanted them both to come back
Interesting.
deranged from their
Oh,
mutual experiences. And
Wait, Stu from the first one?
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, Matthew Lillard.
Oh, right, because they talked about. Did someone say, was that the theory that he's not dead?
Yeah, well,
Is it-
Kirby says a lot. She says a line toward the end of the movie when they're looking at all the artifacts. She's like, the TV that killed Stu Macher, apparently no one knows if he really died. And I'm like, how do you not know?
Yeah,
if he really
there's a lot of
Yeah.
that though in this movie
But-
where it's apparently dead bodies are not always
But
dead
I would
bodies.
love Stu to come back.
And look, that's the dumb shit that I love so much. Is like, let's leave some dumb things open because that's where we are. Again, if you just want this franchise to end as what it was, pretend it ended at 3.
Stop
We
watching
all
that 3.
we all watched Death Note, the anime. At least I assume
great.
we all did. Maybe some of us didn't, Joey.
I
One
did
day you
not.
should. And
I don't
Death
like the
Note,
anime.
we all understand it's 35 episodes, but there's a clear point that it really ends. And then it's like, if you want to keep watching, sure, that's the like, it keeps going if you want to keep going. And that stuff, not that bad, still very entertaining, but not as good as the other shit. That's where we're at here. We're going into extra mode, everybody. And I think that the Scream franchise has superseded all of that stuff because Kirby, #1 fan right here, Tim Geddes. I saw Scream 4 and I'm like, this is the shit. I can't wait for more. And then we see Scream 5 and they reference her in like a picture on a newscast or some shit. And I'm like, that's not respect. This movie is respect. We get this, boom, big shot. We got an FBI agent. Who's the FBI agent? It's Kirby. And the way that they did this, the reverence they give this woman is so perfectly stupid. And again, I got to go back to the word. It's stupid, but they commit so
So
hard. They commit so hard to it that I'm like, yeah, thank you. It reminds me of one,
Love it.
Han from Fast and Furious. Han and Kirby, 2 of my favorite fictional characters ever put on the silver screen. And I love how much love they gave her in this one.
I agree. I also love that now that you're saying all this, Stu for sure is coming back in 7. That's going to be my prediction. At least don't let us
Not if
forget.
they don't bring back Nev.
And
Matthew
they're
Lillard
going
said
to.
He wasn't
They're
going to do
going
it.
to.
So
He
Matt-
said
They're
he said
going
he
to.
wasn't going to do it because they didn't want to pay Nev.
No, he didn't say that. He did come out in support of her and say, I think they should pay her what she is worth to come back.
Oh, for sure.
And they're going to, and they're going to bring back him, and it's going to be fucking phenomenal.
At some point, they're bringing back Billy too. Skeet Ulrich is like waiting, he's just waiting by the phone for the call, just like the entire cast of Karate Kid it was just like it's coming at some point.
Dude, and I haven't
It's
said
coming.
it. I brought up Fast and Furious 10,000 times already. I have not brought up Cobra Kai. This is the Cobra Kai of the Scream franchise.
It's 100%.
I 100%, as someone who's watched all of Cobra Kai, I 100% agree. I also kind of hate Cobra Kai.
And James, me and you, the yin and yang. The
I know,
yin and
I know.
yang, baby.
I love. Listen,
Tim.
I will watch Karate Kid 1, 2, 3 every single day. Even next Karate Kid, toss it into the mix. Absolutely never not
yeah.
the.
I respect you for that.
Absolutely,
It's like a-
absolutely.
it's like eating
never
Peeps at Easter.
the Jackie Chan one. I think that movie got every element of Karate Kid wrong. I will just shovel Cobra Kai into my mouth, but I hate it. I hate that show so much.
Tim, can you do me a favor? Can you show James the picture I sent you on your phone
Yes.
yesterday?
Oh God.
Yes, yes, I can, Nick.
Thank
We
you.
get a Remy sighting?
We got he's on the couch this whole time.
Oh,
He's used to me
So-
shouting about nothing.
Nick was apparently at like what, a fucking Borders or something.
Target, bro. We were at Target.
What is that?
Oh, it's so hard to see.
you have to
Cobra
put your
Kai
hand
season
behind
3
it like a beauty influencer.
DVD.
Oh, a DVD of Cobra Kai.
There you
Yeah, a DVD of Cobra Kai, and he was like, "Do you want it?" And I'm like, "No,
Do
it's a
you
DVD."
want
I
Yeah.
appreciate that Nick knows that I love physical media, but I don't love DVDs.
Yeah. What are you gonna do with that?
But then he also sent me the.
You gotta put your hand behind it again.
There you
you're
go.
you're so good, Joe. Waxing on.
The
The
Karate
Karate
Kid and
Kid.
Me
I like that.
Yeah,
by Ralph
like that.
Macchio. I'm gonna
Yeah.
read that next.
good
I'm
stuff.
currently reading this, James. You'll appreciate this.
Then he zoomed in on his face.
Total Recall.
I listened. I've read that. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
It's so
you know
good.
He was a tank driver. Holy shit.
Yeah.
What a
and
wild
he was
world.
a very irresponsible tank driver at that.
Got kicked out of the army. Well, didn't get kicked out. Got asked to leave. He wanted to leave
He had to
anyway.
climb through the mud or whatever. Anyway.
Great story. I digress. On the way to the station, they just decide to walk in the middle of the night, and Ghostface comes out of absolutely nowhere. He calls them first. We get the, of course, the iconic
Yeah, well, we
call.
have to establish something. It appears as though Ghostface is trying to frame Samantha.
Right. There
for the
is
killing.
that. There is they're leaning into the conspiracy that Samantha was the mastermind behind the Woodsboro killings from the last movie, and that she framed Richie and for Richie Kirsch for the killing. Of course, she gets the phone call from Richie's phone, which should have all been our, I guess, our first
Little antenna.
Yeah, little antenna that maybe the family is responsible for this, but who can know? It doesn't matter. And then don't love this scene, and this is a criticism I've had before in the Scream movies, where they're like the blocking of it and the camera blocking specifically made it weird as fuck because they're just walking and the camera's on them and then it cuts to a profile and Ghostface is just right fucking there. Like, how did you not see this guy running out of this door right up on you? And I could be misremembering this, but it wasn't as creative as I wanted it to be. Having said that, they go into the liquor store. I like this scene. It's weird and cool. And I thought it was fun, and there's a little bit of tension there where Ghostface has to get the shotgun, blasts the liquor store owner, which I thought was super violent and fucked up and an awesome shot. And then, of course, they have to escape, and Ghostface escapes out the back, but not before dropping the Scream mask. And now we're establishing that the Scream masks themselves are, in fact, Scream masks that have DNA from the other killers in them. So we're going around the block with all the old Scream movies.
Let me stop you right there, Nick. Elise, you had your hand raised?
Oh, I just want to say that something I really liked about the bodega scene, the subway scene, the alleyway scene, I felt like New York, as big and trope-like and sprawling as it is, felt like more of a character in this movie than Woodsboro did in 5.
I 100% agree. And that was one of the things that I was like, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, great.
How are they going to
New
do
York's
this?
way too big. It's not going to feel, there's not going to be any tension in this movie because Woodsboro was so great because it was a small town with a small town police force that was kind of inept and didn't really know what the fuck was going on. I thought they did a great, I was like, this is awesome. This is more like a playground.
It's something else I learned, should mention it earlier, is that the sorority that Jenna Ortega is rushing is the same sorority that Sarah Michelle Gellar was in Scream 2.
Oh.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is the dumb shit I love so much.
Dumbass world building.
And with you guys, like, again, I said this earlier, but like watching the trailer, it was like, oh, New York, like really the subway, the this, the that, the bodega, like there's no way this is going to be good in a Scream movie. Everything that I thought wasn't going to work, I thought really worked. This bodega scene, him with the shotgun, all that stuff. This was the scariest, tensest scene we've had in a Scream movie. Like earlier, you guys were saying it's not scary, not tense. When them crawling on the floor, when this guy had a shotgun and he's proved that he is ready to shoot, I was right there with it, man.
Shooter's got to shoot,
And
Joe.
when the
Shooter's
kids
got to
are
shoot.
like, stab twos at a university or at a college, so now we're in college. Like they're making these,
Mhm.
Here I come. I will say,
Bring it.
I thought mentioning the framing thing, it was very weird to go from a scene where they're like, Ghostface is trying to frame you, and she's like, oh no, this is going to be a serious situation, to Ghostface chases you into a bodega, kills 2 people in cold blood under CCTV, and then you and your sister, aka Alibi, are running out of the bodega as the police arrive, is like, I don't know what. Every Scream doesn't have a great plan because they're like, Nev, Sydney, we're gonna frame you for your father, and he went crazy and this stuff like that. And you're like, well, why were you chasing her around the house at the beginning of the movie? But this one felt like it was really dumb, like really stupid, like. You're literally showing footage of murder happening of a Ghostface is killing people, random people, which is another issue because everyone has plot armor, but kills random people in this bodega under CCTV footage with cops as witnesses. And I'm like, well, there's no tension now to her being framed in any way, unless she's in on it, which would be cool, but that's not the case.
But we didn't know at that point. And that's my thing. I was like, I loved it throughout this movie because of how they set up. Legacy characters can go, new characters can go. The rules are gone. We're creating new rules now. Now that we know how the movie ends, it's like, all right, cool. At the moment, I was like, I don't know who's involved in this.
Fair enough. It didn't bother me so much here, James, but the subway sequence, I know I'm going to be alone on this one. I didn't particually care for that. I didn't.
Well,
I
you
was
won't
like,
be alone, Nick. Nick, you won't be alone in
Okay.
any negative
I think-
perspectives.
Oh, sorry. This dog is
He's
like
getting
trying to
comfortable.
burrow.
Sorry.
Get
Sorry.
comfortable.
He's getting
Oh, we can't hear
comfortable.
him. It's okay.
We can't hear him. It's not picking
Yeah,
up.
there's the
What I
gate's not
did
picking him up.
think the subway scene failed at, and or maybe it wasn't even trying to do this, but it felt like what it would have done or was trying to do was to make us think that Ghostface is going to be on the subway with the other characters, and then the reveal is, oh no, he's actually on the subway with Mindy.
Yeah.
But it didn't really do that, and it was weird. Like, it was just trying to create tension in both places without unifying them in that way. Remy.
To me that one didn't work. It didn't work for the blocking, and it was one of the things that I saw in the trailer. I was like, I'm not gonna like the sequence, and sure enough, going into it, I was like, I didn't particularly care too much for it. But that was the only thing in New York that I felt didn't really work for the city. Everything else, I was like, oh, we're having fun here. Although I will agree that once you start breaking it down on a semantic level,
I will say, like,
there's
the
so
whole
many people in New York that could have stopped
the
this
thing
guy.
of like we're all piling on a crowded subway and we got separated, like that's a very, I mean,
Yeah.
that makes total
We'll,
sense.
we'll get to it when we get to it, but I do think it's funny that they're like, we got to stick together, and they don't call a cab.
Yeah, or an Uber.
Any other mode of transportation.
The subway. Well, the other thing that kills me is like, and look, I've never lived in New York. I don't know necessarily how they celebrate Halloween in New York, but apparently it is a week and a half long affair because people are dressed when Samara Weaving gets killed, and like 3 days later, people are still dressed to the nines as far as Halloween's concerned. Well, I assume this happens on Halloween night, which is the climax. But I just thought it was funny. I was like, there's so many Halloween costumes everywhere. Got to move to New York. It's my favorite holiday. I digress. They go over. They get attacked. We get introduced to Kirby. Of course, this movie wouldn't be a Scream movie if we didn't at least have one of the original three. What do we call the three of them?
The original trio.
The original trio. Who I assume Gail Weathers was a part of. Who was the original trio?
Nick, think about it for
it's-
1 second.
Well, it's
Yeah.
Nev Campbell,
Uh-huh.
Gail Weathers,
Uh-huh.
and Dewey, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, good. But what about Randy? Why did Randy not get some?
He dies in 2.
He didn't last
Dies in
long
3.
enough.
No, he does.
Randy
in
died in
2.
2.
Yeah,
I thought he died in
he comes
4.
back in the videotape in 3.
Oh, that's right. He dies in 2. That's right. He does die in 2. Well, I mean, okay.
Comes back in the videotape. I fucking love this franchise.
You're right. Courtney Cox here, of course, just enjoying yet again playing this character one more time. Hasn't lost a step as far as her ability to endear herself to you, but also be kind of a sleazeball. You know, love that. Of course, Jenny Ortega knocks her right out. We get the Die Hard ending here because she promised that she would not write anything about her, and of course had to. Someone was going to write something. She had to do it.
Not
And
a
I like that.
podcast though. They couldn't have she's still just writing books. I felt like that was like, oh, you promised not to write a book, and she goes, I didn't. It was a podcast. Like, seems like a fun, playful
Yeah.
Gail Weathers line, but she was like,
Especially-
well, I had to.
When they reference like the limited series stuff too, it's just like,
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah.
you
I don't know.
clearly
Anyway,
are aware.
that's a nitpick. I don't care.
No,
was surprised.
I'm with you
I
on
was
that.
surprised. I was like, there's a perfect opportunity to like have Gail still be Gail without
Yeah.
her saying the things she's already said 100 times in this.
Well,
Yeah.
she mentions the limited series. I thought it was like a Dear John style series. That's what I took from that. Like she did the true crime sort of like thing, right? Or was that not
Well,
right?
she said you told me you wouldn't write a book about this, which is
Right, and she said it was a limited
and then
series.
she goes, well, I had to, and then she goes, you said I was like disturbed and crazy or whatever, and she was like, that's taken out of context, and I was like, whatever, that interaction is not how context works. Like,
Well, I do
she
love
could have
that she was
said
like,
that, but she could have said before is not, like
Yeah,
there is
that's fair.
context.
Anyway, love seeing her back in this role. Obviously, she's welcome back anytime, and apparently she's indestructible now. They give a quick reference to Nev Campbell, who of course is not in the film, unfortunately, but sends her love and sends her regards. And then we cut back over to Kittredge's house. And you think for a man that's been in the CIA this long, he could tell when there's a killer at his door, but he does not. He gets punched through the glass and stabbed right in the eyeball, and then the killer takes not Nev Campbell, sorry, Sam's file from and with all the meeting notes of when they met, because now she doesn't have an alibi, which is completely again going toward framing her for all the stuff. Then Let's see. This is weird. I went to the bathroom at this point, but I'm pretty sure they just have a conversation around the kitchen table for 45 minutes, like nothing bad is happening to them. And then Ghostface attacks Quinn's boyfriend first, or the lover,
Well,
her
also-
lover of the evening.
No.
Also, Nick, we kind of get a little hint here that there's more to just looking at cute guy across the alley.
Oh, right.
There's where we see that these two have a secret little thing going on.
Well, I mean, can we talk about the podcast and the podcast?
Jesus.
The hottest moment in this entire movie when they walk by each other in the hallway, and she just grabs him and starts making out with them, and I was like,
Perfect.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
And then he
What's
says,
the podcast within the podcast for this one?
the world's hottest moment. I can't remember. What was
No,
it?
it's something way worse than that.
It's definitely worse.
Oh yeah, it's the number of times. Yeah,
Oh
it's,
yeah.
Oh
yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's Halloween. Is it Halloween?
Is it?
I think that was all. We
Yeah,
can extend it
Premature
here.
ejaculation.
Was
is
it?
what we called it.
Yeah. Hold on, let me pull up the run of show for Halloween in review.
Yeah, please pull that run of show up.
I'm sorry. We just do so many fun horror things all
Because
together.
this was a good scene. These two have great chemistry,
Oh, yeah.
and this guy, what's the name of this actor?
Josh Segura.
Josh Segura, just great, good casting in this.
Fantastic.
Great
Fantastic.
chemistry with Melissa
She-Hulk,
Barrera.
put him in everything.
I
All I
agree.
have for you guys is the podcast is officially called The Premature Ejaculation Count, brought to you by Nick Scarpino.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Not remember why we started.
When's that going to spin off, get its own show?
Oh, James, we're in talks. We're in talks with
Okay,
Rooster
all right,
Teeth
call
right
me.
now. Love this scene. They have a great back and forth. They have good chemistry. And of course, we're setting this guy up. Is he the killer? We don't know. Which she immediately figures out, like, yo, I don't trust you. And he's like, you shouldn't trust me. You shouldn't trust anyone. But he's like saying it real close. And I'm like, make out with this guy. Why the fuck not? He's so good looking. Of course, shit pops off upstairs and Quinn gets it. She gets thrown at the girlfriend of
I
Mindy.
loved this scene. I thought this was really fun of like keeping everything close quarters, but having Josh Segarra's apartment and his perspective and like just the way that this apartment is set up with the different rooms and stuff like that, I thought was really fun.
It's very Rear Window, which I thought was
Mhm.
cool, except the difference was in Rear Window, he couldn't move because his leg was broken. And this one, it's like, hey, Josh, how hard is it for you to run down a flight of stairs and run over to that apartment? Why are you
Yeah.
just
There's a lot of
watching?
flights.
He's a
He tries
fit
to call,
young.
and they don't answer.
And then
Yeah.
he just goes, God, shit, I guess I'll just watch my girlfriend, I guess would-be girlfriend, get murdered. Like, call the cops. I don't know. It
He
was
eventually
weird.
goes. I'd be right there. Like, I think I'd be more valuable yelling across the street to like
Tim,
aware people.
you don't like to be touched. We know that you're not trying to get into a physical altercation with a guy
Definitely
with a
not.
knife.
Yeah, that's
For
true.
sure.
I-
For
I-
sure.
I-
But I'll tell you
okay,
what.
I just want to rewind real quick because when Gail comes out, she's like, I let Sydney know she went into hiding with Mark. Right?
Yeah.
Which does confirm, which I don't think was confirmed in Scream 5,
Oh, right.
that she is with Patrick Dempsey, right?
They do confirm it because they've got kids.
They
But they never see
also
him,
name
right?
drop. They don't,
Yeah.
but they name drop Mark in
They
5.
do.
They
Yeah.
do? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm that with
But
everyone.
is she
Love
still
it.
wearing Charlie
Yes.
O'Connell's necklace?
Ugh.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Does Mark sing songs for her in the middle of the lunchroom? We'll never know.
Which, like, definitely Josh Segura and Chad. I was like, are they going to give him the Charlie O'Connell death in this? Because they're both the great guys.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, you mean when Jerry O'Connell was like hanging as an angel, a beautiful
Yeah.
angel that's glistening with his
and
beautiful
she suspects him for a brief moment, and
Mhm.
poor Jerry O'Connell.
Perfect.
And now he's relegated to just taking podcasts from a local park.
He's killing it, man.
He's
He was
on
just
Watch
on
What
Watch
Happens
What Happens
Live.
Live, baby.
I fucking love
Star
Jerry
Trek.
O'Connell. I love him. Oh, he's fucking fantastic on everything. I'm teasing because the one time he did our podcast, he did it from a park
yeah.
with a mustache. And I was like, you're not doing yourself any favors in that park with that mustache. I digress. Everything pops off. Mindy's girlfriend went through the gut, and you're like, she's dead. Just leave her behind.
That was a brutal one when he just like kept
Like,
going up.
and just, yeah,
Am
he
I
starts
wrong?
pulling
Like,
that thing.
it might be recency bias here, but this is the most brutal Scream movie
Oh, it's brutal.
by
Yeah,
a
yeah.
large
The
margin,
most
right?
killing
Yeah.
in any Scream movie.
Well, also just like it's the way it showcased violence, I think was never I don't think
Ridiculous.
they've done
Well,
that in any of them. Right?
Not only that, but you look the other movies were violent, but the effects work in this movie was
Mhm.
very well done to the point where I was like, holy shit, that was one of the first times I've ever seen someone get stabbed through the eyeball where it looked real. It was shocking when the doctor gets stabbed in the eyeball or whatever the fuck it is,
Thrown
and then
out.
the other homie gets stabbed in the mouth.
Oh,
That was
it's another
it
brutal.
was violent. It was very, very violent. But I mean, to be fair, the first Scream was when he like guts and like smashes her Drew Barrymore's vocal cords or like her larynx. That shit was violent as fuck.
Yeah.
Also scary. But anyway. Everyone gets popped off. We have the ladder sequence here, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Even though it's like, you might want the person who's stabbed to go first, leaving
Yeah.
her last, obviously cannon fodder for the killer.
Totally,
Kinda weird.
which all that weird, but also like whatever. You're dead. It is what it is. I just hated this in the trailer. I was like, "There's no way this is gonna be entertaining to watch," and I was so entertained. I couldn't believe how much I was like, "I'm into this. This is tense.
Yep.
I want to see what's going on." The way that he was like shaking her, I was like, "This is fucking brutal as shit." Before she even falls, and then she falls, and then her head hits a dumpster on the way
Dumpster.
down.
Mhm.
God
Just
damn!
just like Spider-Man that one time. Spider-Man, no more.
And I also love that we're seeing
unit.
these masks from Ghostface, the distressed,
I love it.
tarnished Ghostface mask.
The older they are, the more tarnished and distressed
Oh,
and cracked. Because
loved it.
because James and I, of course, know from all the old Halloween masks that we kept, including the Batman mask that I probably still have to this day, that plastic degrades and it degrades fast, and it's horrifying.
The countdown they were doing in the plot of this whole thing of like they're counting down through the different screens. I'm like, this is so stupid and great.
But also the meta-ness of the last mask, which was the first mask, Sam gets to wear.
I know.
yeah.
Awesome
There's
sauce.
Spider-Man.
I
We
will
did
say
miss.
at this point, I did think that Josh Segarra was involved because who keeps a full-size ladder in their New York apartment?
That was weird as hell.
Especially
Yeah, I
now
guess,
knowing the
yeah.
ending, it's like, okay,
What's he do for a
why do
living?
you just have ladders there?
I felt like there was a joke line that was cut there about her going, "Why do you have a ladder in your apartment?" And he's saying something like, blah, 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 but it got cut for time. Because as I was watching it, I fully expected that to play out on screen, and it didn't.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe he was like a painter or something like that. I don't know.
He had painterly vibes.
He has a
yeah.
painter, like an artist painter vibe to him.
He can
I
cut a
don't know.
wall.
He's
you
too
know?
good looking. I don't have questions for good looking people. I just go do whatever you want to do. We missed a very important scene. I think actually the scene. I think
park.
I skipped by in the park where they are having the meta commentary of Mindy saying, "This is not a requel. This is not a sequel. This is not a reboot. This is a franchise. We're in a franchise now, and all bets are off. Anyone can die. Anyone can be the killer. We can't trust anyone." And to their credit, they actually don't trust anyone. Except for the actual real killer who's been in the apartment the entire time. I'm not quite sure how. I guess they cheesed the system and they put out an anonymous, Craigslist ad. But I guess the person who answered it figured it out. It was them. I guess it's not that hard to do. Either way, she was like, "We got to stay on our toes."
My thing, and I'd love to tap the inside of this group that watches franchises all the time, is she was listing off these things, and I was like, "Is this true?" I've never like the rules in the first Scream that they say are like definitely things that are true
Tropes.
of
Yeah.
this thing. And then they're talking about this stuff and I'm like, I don't think this is true for franchises really. Like and then getting into the finale of the movie, none of those things come to pass.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I
I
was
do
like
think-
it's weird.
I do think that there are stakes missed by the fact that they emphasize so heavily in this conversation. Like, we don't need any of like the core characters, and then none of them die. I understand it's like the subversion of the subversion, but I don't know that worked for me.
That's why this movie feels like it is Stab, right? Like it feels like it's this is the point for me that solidifies what makes Scream 6 feel like a movie that Scream 1 was made to replace in the zeitgeist of what a horror movie could be.
I'm on the other end where this works so well for me in the sense of like it really felt like the people that are trying to outsmart the movie constantly and outsmart not even the movie but the next 3 sequels. It's the people that are thinking so far ahead of like what is going to be Scream 9 and like what we need to leave some people alive to be able to get there in the future. And this whole speech of dealing with like, oh yeah, nothing's off the table, anything can happen, what's going to happen creates, I think, the most interesting scenario where this entire movie, until the killers are revealed, I didn't know. And once the killer was revealed, I'm like, I fucking buy it. It's a little weird. And I will say that like there's like maybe the 85 to 95% mark of this movie are my least favorite of the whole film. And even then though, I get it, it adds up. But I think that the way that they kind of introduced the rules of the franchise of legacy characters can die, new characters can die, led to us believing that. And then when we see a legacy character almost die with Courtney Cox, and then we see some of the core 4 almost die and then not die, I appreciated that because it kept me on my toes, where I believe they would have done it because of the speech they gave. And again, we're outsmarting ourselves with the whole subverting expectations, and they're telling us what's going to happen. Is that actually going to happen? Or are you going to subvert that? I feel like with how they did it here, that's where we're at with franchises, where Fast and Furious, even if you die, you're going to come back. Maybe, or maybe you won't. Star Wars, Luke Skywalker's dead, but is he really? Because he's a Force ghost, and they could always make a fucking Book of Boba Fett show where he comes back randomly. Like, all this shit, I love the way that they did this, because I think that they really understood the people out there that are watching these things, consuming is probably a better way to put it, consuming this content and then making content themselves and reading content online about all this shit and just being like, here's a movie about that. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I'm with James on this one, unfortunately, and I think Joey had the same criticism where, like, unfortunately, all those examples that you just used, those aren't horror movies, and horror is predicated on tension, and tension is basically a thin line where you have to believe that your characters are in danger. And Gale not dying was a mistake, because the fact that not one, not two, but 3 of the main characters of this movie get horribly stabbed and are just like, we're good, just walk it off. It's like, it starts to get to the point where you're like, are all these characters now just going to live all the time through all these movies?
What I think the subversive commentary I think they thought they were making was, which is, we're telling you that anybody is, now we've transcended to the point where anyone is a target in a horror movie. But actually what we're going to do is we're going to subvert that and say, no, all the main people survive this. And which to me was a pretty, it was not very impactful. Like,
it was impactful to me because the moment where we get the double unsheathing of the Ghostface killers, all that stuff, it's like, yeah, that's what this movie is. They're superheroes now. Like, it's Vin Diesel's going to space. Like, that's what this is. And I like that they just were like, we're tripling down on that. And they delivered it without taking away from it. Like,
fair, but at a certain point, like, I mean, and this is the problem with the Fast and Furious. The Fast and Furious is adding more to the family, quote unquote. And that's fun because those movies are superhero movies, but this is a horror movie and people need to die. And, I guess, honestly, if I'm being honest, if we're unpacking this, I'm just like, hey, where the fuck was this vibe when Dewey died? Because Dewey's my favorite character in this franchise. Why the fuck can't he come back?
They showed him so much reference in this. Like, they showed him so much love.
Get it, at least I can't talk. You tell. Did they show him reference in this? They show a picture of him and they play the Broken Arrow theme.
They play the Broken Arrow theme. Sting. I will say the problem is that
Courtney Cox manages one tear. That's it, one tear, and then she goes on and cashes the fucking check.
Because they have too much real life history. The choreography of his death was just so lackluster. Like, Courtney Cox's scene in this movie was what the build up to David Arquette's death should have been in 5.
That's true.
Like, they really didn't give it as much of attention as they should have.
Yeah, he feels more like collateral in 5 versus like she got her shining moment in this one.
Well, let's get to that right now. Of course, Ghostface attacks her. Well, do it first off. Bailey's taken off the case because his daughter's dead. And he's like, my daughter's dead. My only daughter, all my kids are dead. And you're like, oh, did we talk about your other kid? I don't remember that. And then Gail,
they mentioned that the roommate mentions that her brother died in a car accident.
And that's what made her dad be so clingy.
Yeah.
Right. He even transferred to the NYPD. That's exactly what she says. And he's like, oh, my whole family's dead, right? Very, very reminiscent, almost the exact same sequence as Angela Bassett in Wakanda Forever.
I just want to say, exactly, because this is regarded by Reddit as a major plot hole, which is, how did nobody know that she was his daughter? Like, nobody on the force knew that Jack Kirsch, Richie Kirsch, this famous serial killer, was his son. Like, how did no one know?
Yeah. You would think that if you're, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe no one asked.
I also want to know how you body swap. Is this the first official body swap we've got? Because, like, you see Quinn get thrown through a door covered in blood with maybe a Hollywood makeup thing that they put on her at some point, but it also kind of doesn't make sense because that roommate was watching her be killed. So, like, or the guy across the alley, like, just because we didn't see it doesn't mean he didn't see them stop down. Like, I don't know. There's a shot missing where Ghostface pulls her down out of view, and then, like, you're like, oh, okay, that's when they did the thing. But, like, you see her get thrown out. at some point they like he in the reveal he goes, oh, it's nothing. Like, what does he say? He's like, you just take a body, you swap it with a fresh one. And I was like, what's that? Like, what happened
Tough.
there?
Where'd you get that line?
Tell me how that body swap happened. Because like,
my only okay, just waving it away a little bit is that he is Detective Bailey.
Yeah, they don't
Her
have the
last
same
name
last
is
name.
Landry. My assumption is that they faked this whole
They
thing
have this.
just to kill these
He and
two
the
people.
daughter have the same last name,
So
and then the son has a different last
They
name.
after the Richie killings, they moved to New York and assumed new identities. But
That
he was
would be
still
my
able to,
guess.
as the cop, he was still able to change his name.
that's big. That's big. I mean, that's more on the NYPD.
Yeah,
I mean,
than it
that's
is
what I'm
on
saying.
Scream
NYPD
6.
do your
that's
background
big on.
checks
It's
done.
a
Exactly.
that's a big blemish.
It's not on me. It's on the NYPD. Either way, we go. Kirby Gail's like, listen, I'm really good at my job, and I discovered this cool horror theater that the two kids in the beginning of the movie that got killed had set up, and we get a nice little tour through the eras of Scream, and I love it. And I'm obviously joking around about Dewey's the disservice they played to him, although I would love David Arquette to come back. And again, to Tim's point, not beyond the realm of reality
Yeah.
that David Arquette survived. We don't know. But we see all the original drawings. We see like the knife. We see the TV that killed Stu Macher, which I totally
building.
forgot about.
Hold on. The fax machine that blew up in Scream 3.
In
Yes.
Scream
Don't
3.
forget
It's
the fax machine that the
fantastic.
guy had to go
Awesome.
back into the house to see what the
I
final
just-
page
I'm
said.
seeing all the clothing everybody was wearing.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
Dude,
I think they had the
like-
camera guy's hat too. I don't know. They had the camera. They had the camera guy,
Dirty
right?
white blood stained
They
shirt.
got a lot. This guy managed to get a lot. He stole a lot of stuff from lockup. That's for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Well, they
I
were rich
love-
kids from Atlanta.
I love the Fast and Furious movies. You guys all know this. And I've seen every Fast and Furious movie at midnight or whatever the first showing is since the first one. Like, I've been there. I've been in this. Like, Tokyo Drift came out in 2006, and I was like, I'm rocking with this. This is my personality. I love this. And then the movies happened to get great after that. I got lucky there. There was another franchise, though, that really gave me the Tim Geddes personality of loving the stupid lore and doubling down on the stupid coincidences and like bringing characters back and all that. And it was the Saw franchise. When Saw came out in whatever 2004, and then every year, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw, everybody. And once a year, they would come out with a movie that got progressively stupider and more complex and more convoluted. Of like, there was also another killer and an apprentice and a this and a that, and remember that guy and blah blah blah. And the movies worked their best the more convoluted they got. When they played it too clean, the movies sucked ass. There was about 5 of the 10 Saw movies that were bad. But when they were great, they just fucking delivered. And one of the more recent ones that I'd put on the higher side was a movie, I forget even which one it was called.
Spiral?
Jigsaw? Not Spiral. It was the one
Okay.
before Spiral. So Jigsaw, I guess. And they did this whole thing of like, we have all the original things that killed the people in the other movies, and we have a museum for all this shit. And I was like, this is really cool, but they didn't do anything with it. This movie had the cool shit, and they did something
Yeah,
with it.
they got to interact with them.
They interacted with it. The countdown to having her wearing the first mask. Oh my
So
God,
cool.
I fucking loved it. Thank you. Thank you.
I think this is where we see Billy for the first time, and Tara's like, "What the fuck's going on?" And Sam's like, "Don't worry about it. It's not cool." We see that the original robe, which I don't think was in this one, but we see the sparkliness of the original robe, which I love. It's just kind of a little touch of nostalgia there. And then, of course, we go over to Gail's apartment, and she's got a new young beau that she's hanging
Can we
out
talk
with.
about how baller Gail's apartment
It's
is real
fucking.
quick?
I mean, listen.
It's
They're
incredible.
setting up Gail
She's-
to be this like sad, lonely
I
person.
know, yeah. She's like, everyone only gets one person in their life. And that's the whole love of their life, and that's
Yep.
that's the only person they'll ever have their whole life.
Yeah.
Hard cut to her
But Joey, go
with
on.
her hot boyfriend
Just
So-
smoking.
walking
Yeah,
around
super
their
hot
apartment.
boyfriend. I'm like the designer that she had for this. Like, Gail put me in your will
Yeah.
for eventually when you die in this series, and I would like your apartment.
Those books are paying off. We have a great fight scene here. She, of course, has a gun smartly because she's been attacked multiple times with a knife. She does not know how to use said gun and loses it and then gets stabbed. Thankfully, Sam comes in, picks up the gun, also doesn't know how to use the gun, just blindly fires into the air until Ghostface Killer runs out a side exit that I don't know that we had there, but he's gonzo. And Gail's like, "Get me to the hospital. I'll be all right by tomorrow." And we're like, yeah. Did anyone else think Gail was going to come back and save everyone in the last couple seconds here? 'Cause
I'm happy she didn't. I thought so, and I'm happy she didn't.
Yeah.
I feel like on the day though they were like, we'll figure out if you're dead. Like we'll figure it. Well, like we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out in post or whatever. And she's like, should I play this as though like this is my last line ever? And they're like, yeah, do
Give us a
it.
take of that,
Tell-
just in
tell
case.
Right.
Sydney
Yeah, we'll
he
do.
didn't
yeah,
get me.
yeah. Tell Sydney he
never
didn't
got
get me, and then she passes out, and you're like, that's a badass line.
Badass line.
It doesn't make any sense, but that's a
No.
badass line for Gail Weathers to go out on. But then I was like, but it also feels like it's definitely keeping the door open. And since they don't show her ever again, I'm like, I don't think they knew. I don't think they knew when they filmed that scene whether or not
Well,
Gail
with
was
that-
coming back.
With that though, I mean, with the Scream franchise, we know dating back to the originals, like in a very early internet days, like
Talking about
they shot multiple different
Mhm.
versions of the endings and different scripts and all that stuff. And like, I think that now we're in this new era where clearly we're in a franchise. This is now the first time in franchise history since the first two that we're getting annualized sequels to this thing. So 5 was last year, 6 is now, 1 and 2 were year after year. Besides that, there was a couple year gap to 3, a decade to 4, a decade to 5. I imagine Scream 7 is going to be within the next 2 years, right? Like they're working so quickly with this stuff, and in this like leak culture that we have, especially on the franchise side with the MCU and literally any franchise out there. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you're right that there is probably many versions of Scream 6 that exist, and this is like the one that we got. But like I'm sure there's a version where Gail's the killer. Like they probably have maybe not that far, but like they probably have enough to work with that this movie could look completely different, and the next movie because of it also could have. But I liked how hard they went with this, where there were moments that I believed she was going to be dead in this, and that impressed me because yeah, she committed to these are my last words in this franchise.
Have we
100%.
gotten a Scream 7 confirmed yet or no?
Yes, they've confirmed it, right? I think they have that it's coming. Are they filming over Halloween, or it's coming Halloween?
The PR team sent it to my email directly to infuriate me.
Googling Scream 7, I'm not seeing any. Okay, cool. 4 days ago, Scream Geek confirms, which I don't know. But hold on, let me look into the valid.
I mean, we'll probably find
validity
out
of
on
this.
Sunday whether or not.
I
Yeah.
Once they're just raking in the cash, they're like,
Yeah.
I guess we could do.
It's
another
gotta
one."
be.
So
it's gotta
right
be.
now, what we're working with is we've received news from our sources that a follow-up to Scream 6 has been officially greenlit. The tentatively titled Scream 7.
Perfect.
We'll workshop that.
Screven.
Yeah.
Lucky number Screven. Josh Hartnett making the jump from
Oh.
Wow.
From H2O.
If
They got
Josh
H2O.
Hartnett got
They
cast
got
in
him.
Scream 7, this might be the greatest franchise of all
God.
time.
That could work.
I feel like sorry, Nick.
No, go for it.
I know we gotta go, but I feel
we're all
like Dermot Mulroney casting this is very intentional. They know the millennial audience they are playing to
Oh, 100%.
with these castings.
And that would be equally so for Josh
Mhm.
Hartnett.
yeah.
100%.
Playing
Josh Hartnett needs to
Something
play.
weird like Stu's
Cuba
fraternal
Gooding
twin
Jr.
that nobody knew
Or
existed.
not Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yes,
Okay.
Joey.
God, Joey, you could write these movies.
Real quick, after they kill Gail, I just want to say this is something that stood out to me that was really funny. They're all gathered in the lobby of Gail's apartment building, and they're holding each other desperately, and they're not sure who they can trust. And then our good friend, a guy from across the way,
Josh.
Josh
Cute guy.
Segura.
Josh,
As
the
they
cute
call him.
guy, shows up, and he goes, "Sorry, I'm late." And they're like, "You stay away from me.
Mhm.
You're suspicious." And I'm like, so did someone text him? Like, or did he just hear on the grapevine that Gail Weathers had been attacked?
Maybe.
I was like, I don't understand. That scene only makes sense if he wasn't notified, but it feels like someone was like, "Hey, we're in the lobby." And if you call someone and say, "Hey, we're in the lobby," and then they show up, it's really, they played up that the other, what was her name, Mindy?
Mm-hmm.
They played, her whole thing was fun at first of the "you're suspicious," and then with the other guy, "I was at econ, ask anybody," or "I was
Yeah.
in study hall," or whatever. That was really fun. But she started doing it with literally everyone, and I was like, some of these situations don't make sense if you stop and think for like 2 seconds. Like,
Well,
I love how he shows up and he's like, don't trust anybody. Don't trust
Yeah.
me. Don't trust yourself. Don't trust the milkman.
I do like that. I mean, we'll get to it, but I do like that he was like,
delivery
he gave her that whole thing, and she was like,
Milkman.
you shouldn't come in because I don't trust you. And he was like, respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, that was a trick question.
Yeah.
You're right. I shouldn't.
I'm gonna go wait over by the pizza place and grab a
love
slice,
him.
a hot New York slice, and he runs into a Sbarro's.
Oh god, I love everything about that.
I hope
we-
he learned about Gail from Tim's favorite plot device when characters find out about
The
things
news.
on the news.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it is.
Yeah. I agree.
I will say, but you're so right, James. Like, what? That made no sense. This is the first Scream movie in a while that I'm like, I can't wait to watch it again. Like, I can't wait to watch Scream 6 again in theaters, and I can't wait to see, knowing the motivations of the killers and like looking at these questions of like, how did he know this? I'm so excited.
Can't wait to watch it again too, Tim.
Let's go.
I can't wait for her to
Are we
watch it
gonna do
again
it
so I
while
can play
we're
video
in
games for a few
LA?
hours and 123
Joey,
minutes.
when you're out here, we'll put it on.
We're going, all of us, all together.
We
James
cut over,
too.
of course, to the horror theater where Kirby's like, I got a great idea. Listen, this whole call in the park thing didn't work, but we're gonna lock ourselves into this theater, this shrine to all the Ghostface killers of the past, and we're gonna wait for them to come here. There's only one way in, one way out. We're gonna trap him and then we're gonna kill him. And Jeremy Mulroney, in probably his least good line delivery, is like, let's kill the son of a bitch. And I'm like, he's the killer. We figured it out right there.
Was it
over there.
Kirby's idea to do that?
I think it
Yes.
was. Yeah.
Okay.
And then he calls and says, "Oh no, she's not really an FBI agent. She's gone unhinged." And they're like, "Kirby
Yeah.
did it." And then the attackers attack, and then there's two of them, and they go together.
There's-
and Tim's like,
well,
and then
there's
that's
like-
the moment where Tim thinks this is the greatest movie ever made, and I know it.
Real quick, there's like 2 or 3 moments in the movie where they're like, maybe it's Kirby. And I'm like, the killer is not 4'8".
Yeah. Yeah. There's a real. I mean, granted, but Kirby could have been the mastermind. You never
Yes.
know, because I'm like,
Sure.
there's
What-
multiple
yeah.
killers. There
What
is
I
one
would've
moment
loved-
where the killer looks so tall every time he attacks, which means it has to be this Ethan character because he's way taller than everyone else, including the night he's supposed to have an alibi by being at econ class, whatever the fuck it is. But I digress. At least what we're gonna say.
I would have loved if it was Kirby and Stu, and like Kirby is more she's making the calls, she's the mastermind, and then deranged Stu is the killer. He's big, he has the history, he knows how to, juke people out as Ghostface. I would have loved that pairing. I would have been totally fine with that pairing, and I would have leapt out of my seat.
Could have been
There's
cool. but I'm
always
also
Scream
glad.
7, 8, 9, or 10. at least.
That's true.
So,
That's true. Of course, Billy comes back and he's like, Sam, you know what you got to do? You got to arm yourself. And she opens up the case and takes out the knife that's still shiny with blood after all those years. And he goes, good choice.
Yeah, I don't really know why it's shiny with blood. I was confused by that.
Don't know either. You have to imagine maybe when they put it in there, the guys were like, let's make it look like blood. And they put some like corn
I
syrup stuff
almost,
on it.
I know it wouldn't have played as well, but I almost wish that instead of us expecting to believe that it was the real shit, that they had established that Richie had this shrine that he and his buddies made where they were desperately trying to recreate these elements.
I love that.
Because like me swallowing the pill of like, oh yeah, this cop just bribed other cops so that way he could get the blood-soaked knife, like while he's changing is like such a harder thing than this dude who was obsessed and like he made film recreations and he did all this shit and he even made the phone. Like he's a psychopath. Like I feel like that would have played better than them trying to be like, this is Billy's knife. Like it may be the masks, maybe he gets the masks.
Yeah.
But every single piece of that thing there,
Every piece of
this
evidence
museum,
from crimes, especially crimes that happened literally like a year prior.
The shirts
a
from
little hard.
Randy shirts from the video store and stuff. It's like, did we need all of it?
Yeah.
but if
man.
it was
The
like,
thing is,
if it
though,
like some of
the
it was
answer
like
is yes.
But
makeshift,
it was fun
if it was
for
like,
us. It was.
I
fun
know,
for
but
fans.
if it's like some of it was makeshift, I was like, that probably would have played similarly because you'd be like, oh,
Don't
like
give
this
a
psychopath
shit.
made
I
the.
loved seeing all that stuff. I love Tim. I know Tim loved it. We
No.
loved it.
I love it, but James, I don't think you're wrong. And actually,
wrong.
I think that like the thing I love about franchises is set the seeds for a future movie. In a future movie, they could totally play it that way. Where like, yeah, no, these weren't the real things. That'd be a stupid decision. Like that's where I think Scream can go, is starting to look at itself as stupid as it is. And they've been doing that since the beginning. But like, yeah, like no way did they get all these things together. Like I just don't believe it. But I love that they did it for this one. I really fucking do.
So fun.
I love it too. Of course, we get to the final action sequence here where Chad gets stabbed 5,000 times and is surely dead.
Brutal.
Only he's not. And the killers finally reveal themselves to be Kirby. Is it Kirby? We don't know. And Kirby's like, I got attacked over there. Also, I'm 2'3". There's no fucking way I'm one of the killers and have anything to do with this. And then Dermot Mulroney's like, no, she's the killer. And then he shoots her. And then he's the killer. And it turns out not only is he the killer, but shocker, Ethan is his son, who is Krispy Kreme Kirby's brother. And you're like, oh my God, he looks exactly like him. How did I not see this, Elise? And you were like, Nick, because we're blinded by this man's curly hair. It's incredible. And
Just to
not
clear,
only
he's
that,
not Kirby's brother.
not Kirby's
No.
brother. Sorry, what's the guy? Kirsch,
Richie.
Richie Kirsch,
Jack
Kirsch.
Quaid.
Jack Quaid's brother.
Yeah,
Sorry, I meant Kershey Cream, not Kirby Cream.
got it.
The joke didn't make sense either way, but I just wanted you guys. I just wanted to clarify for you guys. When my brain
I'm glad that you know that. That makes me feel better.
I always know. That's my superpower. And then it's revealed. Oh, we have a sister too, and it's Quinn, and they faked her death. But just a quick little. I mean, listen, James. I want to swap
Fresh
body. I'll do it
body.
right now. I'll get a fresh body
It's so
for you right
easy.
now.
It's
Fresh
New York,
body.
you know.
Call up the
Bodies
old Reddit.
everywhere.
Because
Get a
he's
body.
already on the scene. The cop goes, "That your daughter?" And it's a 42-year-old unhoused individual, and he goes, "That's my daughter, all
Yep.
right."
But the
That
thing
is
is, we saw in this movie that they were just killing motherfuckers. Like they didn't give a shit. So like I buy that like getting bodies for them not as difficult as it would have been for some of the other previous killers that
It's
we've
not.
had in
It's not the
past.
body acquisition that bothers me. It's the swap.
Fair.
It's rough.
But if
and
this was a planned thing, then they could have just murdered somebody else in that apartment building that off camera that we
They could
didn't
have had
see.
a body
just
waiting under
stored it.
Quinn's bed.
Yeah.
It's a thing that you do when you're intentionally withholding information from your audience because otherwise it don't add up.
it does add up
I mean, that's fair.
to fun because we
There
get
you-
into
yeah,
the
I mean,
climax of
there
this
you go.
movie. And Sam's like, you know what? I have a killer inside me. And she's like, your son died like a little boy, just a whiny little boy. And he's like, no, my son was a man. My son was a man. He was a virile young adult man. And she's like, he was a bitch. Like he doesn't know what's going on, this and that and that. And then of course she's just we pop off. She goes up to the lobby, the top of the lobby, and Jenna Ortega's hanging off, and she's like, you gotta let me go. And then she's like,
Well,
wait,
we're speeding
such a
through. We're
deep
speeding.
metaphor.
There's a lot that's happening here. So we're speeding through this, right? So then there's the reveal. Then they start throwing bricks, right? They throw some
forgot about
bricks,
that.
which I don't think have
Oh, yeah, The Last
cinematic
of Us bricks.
significance, right?
Oh,
Are
The
they
Last of
bricks
Us.
from a movie?
Are they set pieces from the play in Scream 2?
Because I was like, I was
Joey
like,
might be right.
I was like, it's so weird that
The
they didn't
Crucible or
say,
whatever it
let's
was,
use
right?
these bricks from Scream, whatever.
Bricks from Sydney's house.
or something. So they throw bricks, and then at some point they gain the upper hand. It's strange, right? Kirby saves them in
No,
some way,
not
right?
Till late. Not till
Yeah,
later.
later.
But so because there was a weird moment where they had basically incapacitated. Oh, she stabs the brother a shit ton of times, right? And then the dad is out. There was a weird thing where she had a gun and a knife, and then her sister was like, "I'm gonna climb the scaffolding," and I was like, "Why don't
Oh,
you
yeah.
shoot the incapacitated bodies?" Because the other girl got hit. The other girl got smashed with something or whatever, and she was out. It was just very strange blocking
hit by
where they
I
were
think
like,
someone
she's
got
got
hit
to
by a
climb up
fax
this scaffolding. And I was like, where are you going?
Yeah, did somebody get hit with the telephone fax machine thing?
It was
no,
underutilized.
I think what
Didn't
happened
do that
was
much. It should have blown up again.
Someone got hit with
Oh,
a
was the-
camera. Someone got hit with a brick.
Oh,
she got hit with a
well,
brick.
the camera was later.
That was
No,
the
yeah.
chase part.
Because they chased out. Chad got stabbed 1,000
Who got
times.
Stu's TV on the face?
That was the
That was the final.
Uh,
That was Dermot
What was
Mulroney at
those?
the very end.
Dermot?
No. It was the brother.
Oh, it was the brother. It was Ethan, right?
It was
After
the
he got
brother,
stabbed
but
through
that
the
was after all. That was after he got mouth stabbed.
mouth stabbed.
Either way,
Very
there was a
valid.
point where the two sisters were good and had a knife and a gun, and the three of them were completely out. And I was like, why aren't you
murdering them.
doing the things that you're
So fun
supposed
fact.
to do? in
So
the
fun
movie?
fact. Jenna Ortega gets dropped down. She stabs again. Sam shoots Quinn in the face,
Mhm.
and then trains the gun on Dermot Mulroney, who apparently appears to have no gun.
No, he has
And
a
then-
gun.
And then
He has
she
baby
pulls.
gun.
No, but we didn't see it yet.
Mhm.
And I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
we
I
didn't
thought
see
she
it.
picked up his gun. It was a little confusing to me what was going on. As you guys know, I don't pay attention a lot. I get in the
So
Duffy and I get.
I can clear this up because I was furious. At this
Let me finish this real quick because I was like, the blocking's weird. I don't know if he has a gun or whatever. She pulls the trigger and nothing happens because she's out of ammunition. And then he pulls up his gun and starts shooting, and she goes over the edge. And someone in our theater screams out, "He had a gun!"
Yeah.
So here's two things to rewinding because again I'm furious at this point. I've determined that I hate the movie, and so I'm every single frame is fusing into my brain. So they're hanging there, right? She's hanging off, and she's like, "You gotta let me go." And I was like, "Way easier to explain. Give me the knife."
Just give me the knife.
Because she's standing there and she's like, no, I can't leave. She's like, no. What I meant to say is let me go so that way I can get the knife and then this is one of those things, Tim, that we were talking about with the Chad stuff, where I'm like, do you think I'm stupid or are you stupid?
But they know I'm stupid, and they gave me what I wanted.
because if she had said, give me the knife, and then her sister did the math and said, I'm literally and metaphorically letting her go and she'll be okay, then it resolves all their shit. But she doesn't say that. She says, you have to let me go. And I'm like, you think I'm stupid. You think I don't know what Chad means. So that pisses me off. And then they have, I like the kill. Stick stabs him in the mouth, twists it a bunch.
Divergent, great.
Divergent, all great stuff. But then they have this
ejaculation.
Then they have
probably happened there.
They have the gun knife standoff, which is funny. Because she's like, and she shoots her in the head. Great, love that. Then it has Dermot Mulroney with a gun. She has no gun. They run at each other. There's a shot where they're running at each other like Mission Impossible 2, except he's just pointing a gun like this.
It was MI2, dude.
I know, but it's so stupid. He's got a gun.
He's a man who's trained to use a gun. It's not even like he's like, I don't know how to do this.
Better close the distance.
For the last hour and a half, I've been like, it's stupid and I love it. It's stupid. I love it. This was just stupid and it was stupid. And like, Nick, you had the wrong intonation when you said he has a gun because you said it like a question a second ago.
Right.
Someone in our audience was like, he had a gun.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what all of us were thinking of.
Wait, he had a gun.
And he had a gun. Like, why did he do that?
I do the thing too where I'm like, someone had to film this. They had to have a crew of at least 25, 30 people there.
Quite a few people.
And they were like, all right, today's the day where we shoot the shot where the woman without a gun runs towards the man with a gun and they're running at each other. And they all went, got it. And no one said anything. I was like, all you need is for her to like, I would have rather if she saw some broken glass and saw Billy over his shoulder and he's like, run at him or some bullshit. and because who runs at someone with a gun, right? And then he goes, what the hell? And then he misses a couple times. Boom, they tumble off. We're in the exact same spot. But no, he points the gun and he runs without firing a single shot. Like he's going to poke her in the eyes with it. Yeah, I'm so angry at this point.
Earlier, I was saying that there was like the 10% of the movie that I was like, it was this. It was this.
Mm-hmm. All right, sorry. That's okay. He pulls another little gun out. He's got two guns.
Mm-hmm.
Two guns.
I love baby guns.
I legitimately forget what happens next. Oh, she runs or whatever, puts on the costume, and then she's like, you think you're hunting me? I've been hunting you the whole time, Timney. And then there's flames going on. I like how this is shot. We're watching his movie. Flames are happening in there. It looks like the whole thing's on fire, but not really. It's pretty cool. And then she comes out of nowhere, and she stabs him through the mouth. No.
A bunch of times in each arm.
Oh, right.
Because he's got a bulletproof vest on, so she just stabs around his vest.
If I may, all this was giving me actually more Scream 3 energy than it was Scream 2, because them charging at each other felt very much like the Sidney Roman, fuck you, as they run at each other. The film on the wall felt very much like Roman showing off his, and then of course
all the props, the memorabilia.
The memorabilia, but then there's something else you just mentioned that.
The spare him.
Oh, her calling him because
right.
Sidney calls Roman and does the whole So it's interesting how there's. I don't know if it's intentional. I wish I could talk to the filmmaker.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
I'll say as stupid as Scream 3 is, at least they established as this is the voice changing device. Now it can simulate any voice on the planet. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
but
that's right. I forgot about
light
that.
years before AI made that possible, but we can do it. It's weird that they didn't establish like it's not like you saw her pick. She's just like, I got the voice changer now. I'm a Ghostface now.
And he can wear the
Um,
mask.
He ends up dying, but not before coming back for one more thing. And then I think Kirby throws a TV onto his head,
No,
right? And kills-
so
no, that's
no,
Ethan. Ethan comes back.
He
for
gets
one more
stabbed
thing.
a bunch in all his arms, and then they go, "You're not." She goes, "I'm not a killer." Well, I'm
Right.
not. She's like, she specifies it in such a way because we've already seen her kill
Right.
several times now, and so she just phrases it, and she's like, "I'm not a bad killer" or whatever. And she's like, "So I'm gonna let you live." And
Oh,
then
and then
and
she
then
goes-
her sister pops in, and she goes, and they share a look. So then she just does kill him.
Oh no, she goes,
Um,
but you did mess with my family.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then she like cuts his
Family.
throat or some shit, right?
She like stabs
It's
him.
all about family, motherfuckers.
Yeah, it is.
And
It's
and
all
then
about family.
and then they walk out, and it's
And Ethan
playing
pops up.
diegetically in Richie's film Red Right Hand. Still confusing, very confusing for me
Great movie.
because this is
Oh, the credits.
because this is the second time we've heard it in the film. I believe we heard it
Yes,
once as
we did
score,
hear it in
and then now
campus.
we're hearing it diegetically
So
in
I
Richie's film.
loved it, and at this moment, I didn't look at the name, so I thought it said directed by the actual director's name.
Yeah.
I thought we were about to sit with the two sisters on the stage, sitting there as the real credits played,
Mhm.
and I was like, "That's cool as shit." And then it took a second. I was like, "Oh no, that's Jack Quaid's character!" Like,
Yeah, it's
"Oh,
Richie.
Yeah.
whoa,
Richie
we're
Creed.
still here." I loved it, man. This
Yeah.
fucking
Loved
shit
it.
had me
So-
by the balls.
Yeah, and then
Comes back.
the brother runs out because you have
You
that
always have
moment.
to
or
have
other.
one.
Then
Brother
he
runs
runs out, and that's when Kirby pushes the TV over on him or whatever.
Right, which probably wouldn't have killed him, but it doesn't matter because
The curb stomp.
The curb.
And she goes. Then she says, "I saw it in a movie once," which I guess she's referencing the first stab film.
Yeah.
And then cute boy comes back and he's like, "I brought the cavalry. I thought I had to do something." I was like, "What the fuck were you doing for the last 2 hours? What were you
Getting a
doing?"
slice, getting a hot New York slice.
This guy. I'm still
He was
suspicious of this
being
guy.
hot, Nick.
And then
That's
we
what he
go
was
and then
doing.
we go outside and Mindy is like, despite the fact that Mindy was on death's door in that subway. We missed I think we skipped through the whole subway thing, but Mindy, literally you see her, she's like all the blood's drained out of her face. She's like, "This is really a lot of blood that I'm losing." Runs back in, hold it. "I'm fine. Guys, I'm fine. Don't worry about me.
But
I'm
it's
good."
weird though
And they're
because
like,
the
"Your
last
brother died." And they're like, "Oh no, he's not, he's good. He's here." I'm like, "I'm fine too, guys. I got stabbed so many times, but I'm good." Core four.
it's just weird because the last time we saw Mindy, she was with the killer.
Yeah.
Correct.
You think he would have kept killing her?
You think he would have killed her,
Yeah.
but it sounds like he called an ambulance because they said that she was at the hospital and they couldn't keep her there.
Yeah, maybe not so
It's
bad a
just
guy
very
after all.
strange.
Maybe misunderstood.
Well,
Maybe
there was
let's
New
pick that
York
TV
though,
up.
right? They're in the subway. Somebody else helped. There's a lot
Maybe
of
That's
people.
the last place
Maybe-
anyone would
maybe
care,
he was
Nick. As
trying
someone
to
who spent a
keep
lot of time in New
himself
York.
innocent, and he thought she was just gonna die. But it would take
Well, they
the
did-
heat off of him.
They
Well,
did say
they
that. They did say that because Dermot Mulrooney has a line where he's like, "Once we finish killing you two, we're gonna go to the
Go back to the
hospital and
hospital, yeah.
finish off Gail and Mindy," which I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a weird plan.
Seems like you don't need to, but
Well,
yeah,
Jill
it's
tried
true.
to do
You don't-
that in 4.
It's not
But it
like
was,
they
like,
even knew
improvised.
who they were. So like it's not like they're killing them so they protect their identities. It would just
But
be
also-
killing them to kill them.
Wasn't
It's
the whole
weird.
point that they were gonna frame Sam and Tara for the murders? How are they
It's,
gonna
we-
explain
it's weird
that they
It's
killed
weird.
Mindy and Gail posthumously?
A little strange.
It's very strange. Either
It's
way, we
strange.
walk away. Everyone, all the characters are still alive. All the ones you love, and we got Sam looking at the ghost face mask, and she's like, "Do I take this with me?" And no, she just drops it on the ground and
Love
goes
it.
off with her friends, and that is the end until we have, I think, the first post-credit sequence of a Scream series, which is just a little stupid commentary on how dumb post-credit sequences are. Another meta movie commentary, and that is ScreaIVI.
You missed an important thing though. A
Sure.
thing that
Give
took
it to
this
me.
movie from my number one of this franchise to undeniably my number one of this franchise. The credits hit, the real credits, not the fake credits that I thought were the credits, the actual titles on main.
It's Demi Lovato.
And it is a Mike Shinoda song. Mike Shinoda
Oh,
of
okay.
Linkin Park fame, performed by Demi Lovato. But the
Demi.
moment that instrumental hit, I was like, that's Linkin Park.
Yeah.
That's fucking Mike Shinoda.
Tim had a little
everybody.
alarm that just ding, 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 ding.
And the fact that they ended this movie like the 2007 through 11 Transformers movies is so perfect for what this is. It's a franchise, y'all. They know what they're doing. It was fucking poetry.
There it is. That is Scream 6. Tim, Hit me with it.
It's time for Ragu Bagu.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh wait, Elise hit me with it. Elise hit me with it.
We don't-
Ragu. Bagu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Right Guys Talk Bad Guys. Do we do this for this podcast?
We do.
Fantastic. Where are we gonna put the the Kirsch
The
family?
Kirsches?
The Kirsches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Jack
my
Quaid's
problem-
family.
With these Kirsches and
Mhm.
these Mulroneys is you're telling me that 4 members, all 4, the dad and all 3 kids were all just psychos,
Yeah.
and they were so easily convinced and turned into these like insatiable killers. I just
That's
found
what
that
New York does to you.
far-fetched.
They
Right
live
now-
in New York.
On screen Ragu
Did they?
Bagu. Did they? I don't know.
Didn't they
Who the
move?
fuck knows
Didn't he
these
have to
people from?
transfer to New York?
That's true. They all had to for this plot. I mean, you have to upend years of your life to do this as people. You have to be like a sleeper cell at this Boarhead University or wherever they went to. You got to do a lot of planning for this. This is a big commitment. And honestly, I'll be honest with you. I wish my family loved me as much as this family loves them. I don't think my dad's killing anyone for me, if I'm being honest. Okay, Scream Ragu Bagu as it sits right now. Number 1, Billy and Stu and Peer Pressure from Scream 1. Number 2, Jill and Charlie from Scream 4. Number 3, Amber and Richie from Scream 5. Number 4, Aunt Jackie and Mickey and Revenge from Scream 2. And then number 5, rounding out the list at the bottom of Scream 3. Where do we want to put the Kirsch family? Tim, start.
I want to start the bid at number 3. I think that this is above Richie from 5, but below Jill and Charlie from 4, and definitely below Billy and Stu from 1.
I'll agree.
Can I get is there like a visual list I can see? I'm not.
Oh
great
yes,
at
I would
Scream
love
1.
it.
It was Scream 1, Scream 4, Scream 2, Scream
No, 1, 4, 5,
2, 3.
2, 3.
5.
And I just want to say, I really feel like I wish we could revisit Roman, because even Kirby called it out, like very ambitious, the only solo
Thanks, Nick.
killer we have. He was blood of Sydney. He had real motive there compared to some of these like film school flunkies
Doesn't
that
work.
just love the genre. I think we ranked Roman too low. But
Can I say
Wow.
something real quick?
can I finish what I was gonna say?
Sure.
I think we should. I'm gonna. Can we? You never do this on this show. I think I'm gonna say we bump up Roman. There, I said it. I know it's not gonna happen.
I don't think you can reopen it. I don't think.
In
Can
case
I?
it's
Can I?
closed, double
Can I,
jeopardy.
say, can I say something real for a second?
Mhm.
We got 2 sets. We got to rank 2 sets.
Oh, because of
There is
yeah,
there is a ghost fist
Oh,
killing in the beginning of
that's
this
true.
film accredited to not that family.
20 ravioli.
Yeah.
I think we got to do. I think we got to place both.
That's
the
fair.
ravioli
I mean,
murders.
if you're counting them, so the way we rank bad guys in movies is they're a group, so they bring up or down depending on if one half is good or bad. So
True.
So, but we're
Look at all
counting.
them
So we
together.
have to count them together.
yeah,
But their motivations are entirely different.
but it's Ragu Bagu for a movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Andy Cortez joining us. Andy, does it annoy you that I'm eating popcorn right now while we're doing this interview?
Y'all love the movie. Wish I could talk about it with y'all. I missed out. I had some stuff, little schedule conflict right there. Good luck to y'all. God bless you.
What?
Was
All
this
right, thanks,
scheduling
Andy.
conflict that he was playing like Warzone or something?
No, he hates
Yeah,
scary
at
movies. He hates scary
5:51
movies.
p.m.
And he's never going to come talk about. He didn't even watch the movie. Don't let him.
Interesting.
Don't let him.
Okay, so now we need to
Tragic.
consider both of them because I kind of liked as even if it was a throwaway. We're finishing our friend's film.
See, I
Honestly,
think they rank
more than
higher.
I liked where our son got killed.
I think they
honestly.
rank
Yeah.
together higher, and I think they rank at 3 where Tim's talking about. Because look at this. Let me ask you a question. We all love a champion. We all love watching a guy win the UFC fight. But what's cooler than the guy that won the UFC fight? The guy that beats the guy that won the UFC fight. We got a killer who gets killed by an even better killer in this movie. That's got to rank pretty high for me. I'm gonna put him. I'm voting 3.
Wouldn't that still be a UFC winner though? I don't
It's all
understand the
UFC.
metaphor.
It's all ball bearings, James.
I don't understand the metaphor.
I'm saying
Two guys have a fight. Two guys have a fight, and one guy wins. And you're saying that there's a second fight that takes place, and the other guy wins. That's just the same
But just
scenario
another
again.
fight.
No, what I'm
It's
saying is one guy wins the championship, and then a new guy comes in and beats that guy, and he's the even badder guy than the first guy that won the
It's
championship.
just the champion.
I'll put it
It's
in
the
real
same thing
terms.
that happened
Isn't the
before.
champ
John-
tired from having
let's-
just fought?
I mean, it happens months
Yeah, that
later.
seems
Elise. It's
unfair.
not. They
It's a
let it
money
have
in the bank
recovery
type
time.
situation.
This is not a money in the bank type situation. This is not a Royal
Okay.
Rumble type situation.
So it's just a normal championship?
Let's put it this way: John Jones just won the fight. We're saying he's the baddest man on the planet, and then 6 months from now, Stipe is going to fight John Jones, and if Stipe wins, and he's even badder than John Jones, and everyone's going to say he's the baddest guy on the planet. Then Francis Ngannou might come back, not having fought any of these guys. Well, he did fight Stipe, and he beat Stipe, and then he beat Stipe, and he's the baddest guy. I'm saying that Ethan is Stipe. Francis Ngannou should come back to the UFC.
Which one's Adonis Creed?
That's Michael B. Jordan from the Creed series.
I've
Not
never
my
thought-
favorite Creed 3. Just FYI.
Okay, interesting.
Looking at this though, like legitimately, like Billy and Stu are just so good, and like Scream 1, the villains, it's like no one saw that coming, and it's so fucking incredibly revolutionary, and like I just don't think you can top that, period. But Jill and Charlie in 4, like that hospital scene at the end was incredible. It was just that one more thing we didn't see happening, and like they pulled it off so well in a scary way, and like we didn't know what was going on. I think this is closer to that than what we've seen from many of the other movies from the villain perspective. So I would put it in the top tier.
Let's vote. Let's vote. I put it at 3. Who thinks it's higher than Roman from? We'll say Roman from 5.
See, this is
I think it's
my
higher. I think. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
this is the initial problem is I agree with Elise that I think Roman is too low.
It's too
Okay,
low.
we
That's the
cannot
problem.
re-rank. If we get
I
to start
know.
re-ranking, then we're going to
Locked in.
eventually get
Listen,
to the MCU
Joey, there
list.
isn't a
That's gonna
night
be
that I don't
number.
go to sleep thinking about how we may have ruined this, how we may have screwed this up.
If,
Yes, I
if
think
we
you-
start re-ranking things now, there will be a
Yeah.
precedent set to start
Yeah.
re-ranking things on MCU
Okay.
and review, which is just
Andy
going to
would
be an
love that.
old
So-
Andy would
bag
love
of
it.
worms, you know.
He's higher than Roman with the caveat that Roman is too low.
Too low.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Done it
Who
right.
thinks
Rules
they're-
of the
who-
show.
Who thinks
Yeah,
it's higher than
I
Aunt
agree.
Jackie
Higher
and
than
Mickey?
Roman. Yes.
Aunt
Yes.
Jackie and Timothy Oliphant. Raise your hand.
Yes.
I think
I
no.
agree.
I think there's a worse version of that.
Okay, 4 of us to 5. Who thinks it's better than Amber and Richie from Scream 5?
Yes.
Okay.
don't.
Who thinks it's better than Jill and Charlie from Scream 4? And there you go. There you have it.
There we
Number
go. So number 3 is Ghostface. I like that every single ragu bagu on this is Ghostface, and then a parentheses of who Ghostface is.
You, I will say the one thing that sells Jill for me is Jill stabbing herself
Yeah.
and
I
like beating
agree.
up herself.
So
Yeah,
good.
because it was a
All right.
subversion
Yeah.
of what that
You don't
franchise
think
had
it's gonna
always
be
done.
the final
Because, you know,
girl.
Billy
She's
and
not
Stu,
really
you
the
had
final
them
girl.
stabbing each other.
She was also the final girl of that, and they're like, oh well,
Yeah.
final girl's bad
So-
guy.
Scream 4, baby. All right,
I
now
know.
it's time to rank the Scream cinematic universe now. Currently, number 1 is Scream 1, number 2 is Scream 3, number 3 is Scream 4, number 4 is Scream 2, and number 5 is Scream 5.
I'll start the bidding, Tim.
Please
This
do.
is a list.
I'll start the bidding. I would like to put this movie right underneath Scream 3
Wow.
at number 3. I'd put it number 3.
Unbelievable.
I don't think it comes anywhere close to topping the first movie. Scream 3, I am a sucker for movies about movies. And I thought that was kind of a fun way to be meta with being on the nose and also meta. And this movie, I just thought was super fun. I thought it was super entertaining, but I don't think it does anything especially new. The only thing that it does do that it could be considered new, I think, other than some of the creative kills, is that Sam's character may or may not have the devil inside of her. She might be psychotic, but we saw that in the last movie. So I think that I'm going to put this.
Dark Passenger.
Very true. I'm going to put this midway through the list. That's where I think this should go.
Timney, I would like to second the bidding, and I would like to put this movie below Scream 4. So at number 4.
Ding 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 ding.
Okay.
I second Elise.
Thank you, Joey, because I feel like Scream 4 did a lot of impressive heading. We don't give it enough credit. I mean, we all love it, but you'll have to remember Scream 1 through 3 came out in a block together. Scream 4 was on an island. And
It's
Scream
true.
4 had to do
Had
a
to
lot of
fish for
heavy
itself.
lifting
Mhm.
to bridge this franchise. And it's pretty exceptional.
I agree with Elise. I don't think this movie, as much as I think the kills and some of the setups and stuff like that are really fun, I don't think it does anything better than Scream 4. I think Scream 4 is a better movie.
James.
I mean, I think 5 is pretty abhorrent. And
Great use of that word.
this movie fills in like the gaps. I was thinking about 5 as we were talking about it. I'm like, remember that whole scene where like you don't even see Ghostface and it's just a kid taking a shower and then he just like goes to the door and gets stabbed. I was like, that was like so
Judy's
lame.
son.
And this movie doesn't have that
cutie.
at all. It's got the ladder shit. It's got actual things. But that, for me, is maybe 10% of what I'm looking for in a Scream movie. I want something that talks to me about how these types of movies are made and then shows me something new. So I'm going to go, this for me would be above Scream 5, below 2.
So Nick's at wait.
Nick put it at 3.
I think it's going to be a
Nick
4.
put it at below 3. And
Got
then,
it. Okay,
yeah.
cool. So Nick's at 3, Elisa, Joey are at 4, and James is at 5. I am 100% at number 1. I don't even think it's a question. Scream 4, I don't agree with this list. I feel like none of us agree with this list on our personal rankings. For me, 4 is above 1 going into this movie. 6 is above 4. I think 6, 4, and 1 are in a league of their own. 2, 3, and 5, fun for what they are. But the 3 I mentioned, I think, are just so good at creating a new standard and understanding what it is to be meta and connect to a new cast of characters. The setting up of the core 4, I care about them.
Cool.
Whatever happens in the franchise going forward, I'm invested in a way that I was not in Scream 5. I care about the legacy characters. Obviously, I think it was gorier. I think it was scarier. I think it was better written. I think that I was just entertained more than I have been in a very long time. So I would put this at number 1, but I am alone in that. So that means that the majority rules. It is the new number 4. So our current rankings are, Barrett is setting it up right now.
Appreciate,
Thanks,
Barrett, I
Barrett.
really appreciate you correcting some of the spelling on some of these.
Yeah.
5
No.
creams before them.
Thank you.
There we go. So currently, number 1 is Scream. Number 2 is Scream 3. Number 3 is Scriforum. Number 4 is ScreaIVI. Number 5 is Scream 2. And number 6 is 5 Cream. Of course. Again, a list that I don't think any of us individually agree with, but that's the joy of KindaFunny's in review. It's a democracy, everybody. You can, of course, it's a cheerocracy. You can let you know in the comments below what you think about this. Nick, what's up?
Before we go, and I know it's late, but I did ask Elise to remind me, we have to do one quick prediction for what we think Scream 7 is going to be about and what we think it's going to be called. My prediction is it's called Screven. And I think
it's the end. The last part of the A is the V, and the
Is
first
the
part
V.
of the M, and then the 2 other parts of the M are the 1
Yes.
and
But
1.
no,
I think it's going to be a
movie
backwards
7.
R is the 7.
you think
I'm
it's
going
going
to
to
say
be
this sounds like a separate video we need to make.
You want to do? Okay, you're right. You're probably right. We should
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah,
we should do our
this-
Scream predictions for a separate video.
Should we stop this video and then just immediately roll into?
It is
Wait
6
for the
p.m. on
trailer.
a Friday, and
And-
Barrett
yeah.
has already hit me up saying this
sorry,
is another
Barrett.
episode where we've hit longer than the
And we need
runtime.
Andy. We need Andy to help
We
us
need
do
Andy.
the-
Of course,
We
we
do
need
need
Andy.
Andy.
He had to miss this
We'll
one,
figure it
but
out. Okay.
but he'll be
All
there
right.
for the next one.
Okay.
Let us know in the comments below what you think of Scream 6 and Scream and in general. It's a fantastic franchise. Thank you for keep making these movies. James and Elise, where can people find you?
You can watch us every single day at Funhouse, putting videos up there.
YouTube.com/@allgoodnoworries. The women at Rooster Teeth have made a new channel where we're putting all kinds of cool feminine leaning vibe and voice content over there. Joey will pop up there sometime. Love to have her. And probably the dudes from Kind of Funny
Maybe
too.
Nick and Tim as
Yeah.
well.
Are we done? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Would love to have y'all check it out.
Mhm.
You guys are subscribed.
Yeah, go
We
subscribe. Big fan of them over there, of course. Nick and I, very frequent contributors to Always Open over the years. So hopefully we'll be back at some point. But no matter what, go check them out. Very proud of what they're doing over there. Until next time, I love you all. Goodbye.